No introduction, just two strange dudes met each other for the first time. You guys are witnessing it. Bam, we're live. A giant dude and a midget. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for doing this.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Did you recommend a book that's called? Of course, I don't have my phone here with me. I just started reading this new book, and I'm trying to figure out who recommended it, and I'm trying to figure out if I was watching some podcasts you were on and you recommended it. The author's name is Bob Rotella.
Mm-hmm.
That is you?
Yep. Yeah. How champions think.
Yeah. I just
It's a
started.
good
Okay,
read.
say it again.
I just said it's a good read for sure.
Holy cow! Holy cow! Do you have a favorite when you think of that book? Do you have a favorite story in there, like a one of his anecdotal stories?
Yeah. He talks about Tiger, like blocking out distractions by like putting and doing things while the TV's playing, or like while other things are going on in the background. I'm pretty sure this story was about putting and TVs. But that taught him how to block out anything external. And so like whenever I'm going through the days in the gym or just like going through monostructural, and you get some crappy music on, or you get kids yelling, dogs barking, whatever. I always think back to that, and I'm like, all right, if Tiger could putt with fans roaring or the TV blasting, I can get through this piece.
There's this story. My wife was in India for 6 months taking a back bending course, like how you learn how to stand and then you just bend all the way backwards and grab your ankles. Trippy, right? Doesn't seem like humans should do that. But so she's India and she's sharing it. She's roommates with two other people, and she's downstairs with one of her housemates, and one of her other housemates is upstairs, and her housemate comes running down the stairs and goes, "Can you guys be quiet? I'm trying to meditate." And the premise of meditation is to watch your mind. It doesn't matter whether it's noisy or quiet, but it's to watch your mind and the sensations in your body and not react to them. It doesn't matter if a car is honking its horn outside or your neighbor's fucking in the room next door. Like that, it's all about being present for it all.
True.
And so it kind of reminds me of that, right? That whole book is like there's some really deep shit in there about reprogramming your subconscious.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I like about golf, right? Is like golf is a super technical sport, and there are so many different variables to every single shot. Like when you listen to guys break it down, like Phil Mickelson or Bryson DeChambeau, like the science that they put into golfing is fucking absurd. And it's kind of the same as CrossFit, right? Like there is, like you got Brent Fikowski who science the shit out of workouts and like break down a movement to it's very like, and there's so many different ways that you can do a movement. Like you can do thrusters paired with anything else in the world. So I think that there are a lot of ways that you can like, a lot of things that you can pull from, how golfers train, how golfers mentally prepare. There's a lot of carryover into the sport.
I was going to ask you about that too, where some of these ideas that I'm seeing in this book, how you are implementing them. But we had Houdet on, Andre Houdet on for just a couple minutes the other day after he won. Nice. He was walking like to an after party, and he said something that I think I've always known, but I just didn't realize the value of it until it came out of his mouth. That basically, for him, being good at CrossFit is about, I'm not going to be able to, he used a better word than master. Master is too ambiguous, but it was to master every movement, to be as efficient as you can in every single movement mechanically.
Yeah. He talks about economy a lot.
Like economy, maybe that's it too. Yeah.
I love Andre, but yeah, dude, he's totally right. I mean, there are so many different things that you have to be good at, but you have to like know how to, it's just like a putt, right? You have to know exactly how much power to give for each different putt. It's just like a workout, right? Like if you're doing a chipper with 50 reps, you got to give a little bit more effort than a 21-15-9 where you're just all out sprinting. So it's a very interesting sport for sure.
Would an example of that be? It's funny. I'm going to use the pull up as the example. The example of that would be whether obviously that the bar's at the height that you train at, because that's where you're most efficient. But also, would it be like not to get too much chin over the bar? Like, hey, you're using too much energy. Hey, all you need. This is the range of motion.
Yeah,
this is it at the bottom. This is it at the top.
Yeah, and especially in competition, right? Like you kind of, you kind of teeter that line of like of doing enough to get the rep and to get credited for the rep, but not to. I mean, there's no reason I have to do a chest to bar and touch like below my tits every single time. Yeah, very interesting.
There's a part in that book where he talks about I don't know baseball at all, but he talks about a baseball player named Greg Maddux, and he says he's like an incredible pitcher. And he says that the baseline for just like an ass pitcher in Major League Baseball is 90 miles an hour. You have to have that. But this guy in his prime didn't have a 90-mile-an-hour pitch, and yet he was one of the greatest, if not the greatest pitcher to ever live. And he made up for it with accuracy. He could hit it get the ball anywhere on the plate at any time, and speed change of the ball, which is just crazy to me.
Yeah, I can't wrap my head around some of those.
No,
things.
I can't wrap my head around that either. And then, but when I heard these, I was wondering how you apply. I couldn't think of ways to apply that to CrossFit. You've now brought up a couple. And I'm not that far into the book. I'm listening to it, and it's an 8-hour listen. I'm about 2 hours into it. But the other thing that really is the driving point so far in the first 2 hours of this book is that you should always want to be the best.
Yeah, I think that's pretty. Yeah, that's.
But it's crazy.
Yeah, but anybody who endeavors, or who goes down the endeavor that we do, right, at a professional level, obviously you're pushing all of your chips into something.
Right.
And I don't know why you would go out to a competition or like train every day and make all the sacrifices that we do if you don't want to be the best. Like if you're not doing it to be the best.
You hear dudes say all the time, I just want to make it to the games, or I just want a podium. And I had a dude on the other day I had a dude on yesterday or 2 days ago who's an insane basketball player, right? He's 6'2" and he wants to go and he's in the NBA finally. He's in their G League. And but he made these goals in like sections. I want to be a Division I scholarship athlete. I want to go to the NBA. Like he didn't, but why not just set it right away to be like, hey, I want to be the 6-time CrossFit Games champion and talk shit about Matt Fraser when I'm on the podium.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think you have to have those kind of timely or just like obviously being the best is going to be your end goal, right? And like when you get to the end of your career, you want to be able to say that. But along the way, there have to be, different little check marks that you hit, right? And different things that you can accomplish and that you can set your sights towards. So I've talked about this with my dad before. He's always given me the example of like, when you're driving down the road towards your goal, obviously that's the end destination, right? Like that's plugged into the GPS. But along that way, you're going to come across potholes. You're going to come across stuff running in front of you. You're going to have cars stopping and starting and all that kind of stuff. So you have to be like constantly aware of what's happening right in front of you, right? Like have not a 3-foot focus, but have like a pretty close focus with your goals. And so I feel like that's exactly what that basketball player is doing, or like even what I do, right? Like I want to be the best. I want to be the best I can be. And so there are a couple different like checkpoints that I want to hit along that way. So yeah, I think that's just an interesting part of goal setting.
Did you ever have a drive that you did that was like you did it every day or 5 days a week and it was like 40 miles each direction?
40? No, not really.
I had one of those for years, and that those trips are always broken down into sections. Like this section,
like you hit one landmark and then
and there's like different things in there. One time I did 120 here. This is the spot where I locked up the brakes. Oh, this is the place where I always want to pass the traffic. I know people. This is where all the dumb shits get on the freeway. Go over here. Like it was like
Right.
broken down into like little countries, like little like
Yeah.
like a video game. But you're right. There were like, and then when you're in the last segment, you're like, oh shit, I'm almost there. I should, you know, like I'm about to go into the classroom. I should make sure, you know, I'm ready.
Yeah, but then you like look back, you get to the classroom, and then you're like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. Like I made it. Like I did it. I did what I wanted to. But
Yep.
I wouldn't have been able to do that until I passed this thing or until I, you know, hit 120 on this straightaway. Yeah, for sure.
There's he describes the lifestyle of these athletes as like almost monastic.
Monastic.
That's a term. I'll look up exactly what it means. But basically you become you're a I'm too smart for myself too. You're basically a man of relating to monks, nuns, or others living under religious vows. So
what do you think about that?
Yeah. He says so I never think of myself as confident ever. I've never in my head, man, I'm a confident person. I think probably the opposite. I think, holy fuck, I'm so fucking insecure. Like that's how I kind of live. But it comes out of my mouth so easily that I'm going to be the greatest podcaster, comedian who ever lived. Like from like how I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It just comes out of my mouth. It's just the goal.
Yeah.
There can't be any other way. And there's only, and these people who are great, he says in the book, there's only 3 things that really matter to these people consistently. The really great ones: their health, their family, and whatever their practice is. And outside of that, they're kind of like, fuck you. And I was like, wow, that's me. I only care. Like I spend 6 hours a day on my podcast and 6 hours a day with my boys.
Yeah.
And then and anywhere I can squeeze in, like if they're running sprints, I run sprints. I just make sure that I work out with them, or whatever they're doing, I try to do it.
Right.
And that sounds kind of like your life. What?
I said, is that for your health?
Yeah. You know what I mean? Or like when I'm preparing for Matt Dlugos, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get on the assault bike and watch like an hour worth of interviews he's done in the past.
Oh,
but there has to be that crossover.
Yeah.
And then other than that, it's just sleep.
Yeah.
Is that, would you say that sums up your life too?
Yeah, for sure. You know, there's not much else outside of CrossFit, which is fine. I love it. Like I love the sport. I love the idea of becoming the best version of myself. And I know that there's a lot left in that tank of possibility. So I don't know why I'm talking with my hands, but I know that there's a lot left in that tank of possibility. So I think that it's a really, really cool pursuit too, because it's like you're literally trying to see how good of a human being, like how good of a machine of a human being you can become, which is crazy to see some of the things that are possible. But it's just a really, it's kind of like a modest endeavor. Like you get up, you work out, you eat a lot of food, you stretch, walk my dog a lot, and that's about it.
I'm looking up the word modest.
Like it's not flashy. It's not.
Well, right.
Like, you know, especially in Vegas, right? Like you don't see me like you know, I'm not like wearing like, I mean, I have a necklace, but I'm not wearing like big diamond rings and like gold chains, and you know, I'm not like in Gucci walking around or going to the club spending a bunch of money and crap like that. Like, you know, I'm sure there's a time for that, but until you get to the top, like, I mean, you can't. There's not much celebrating to do right now, you know.
What necklace do you have?
It's a wing. It's this little gold chain with a wing pendant.
Why do you have that?
Do you listen? There's an artist, a musical artist named Mac Miller.
Oh yeah,
he passed away now.
Yep.
But he has this song called Wings, and so for me, it's a reminder to find something beautiful every day. That like no matter how the day went, if I can find something beautiful in that day, that's gonna lift up my spirits. That's gonna lift me up to, you know, to realize that like life is beautiful, right? Like life is such a gift for everybody. Yeah.
You think I'm gonna get in trouble for playing this?
Never been real. Never felt so damn good where I'm at. I don't know what it's all about. Running through too many thoughts to count.
I'm a huge rap fan, but I don't know any Mac Miller stuff. I just when he died was the first time I'd heard of him.
Yeah, this is a great album. I don't know your musical taste. The Divine Feminine is really good.
I like the name of it.
Circles, something. Yeah.
Like the name
Great
of that.
music. Great music.
You work out to it?
Yep.
And
it's nice and mellow.
Say it again.
I said it's nice and mellow. It's like very relaxing.
In your interview with Jared, I saw you do this thing where you close the door from the top.
Yeah.
And I have this very, very, very close friend who's also 6'4", and he's the only other human being I've seen do it. And I just remember in high school he would always do that, and it would make me I'd be like, wow, that's something I'll never do. Close the door from the top, and man, that makes me anxious because there's because there's the timing component. You got to get your hand out of there.
I mean, that door's open. Do you want to?
No, that's good. No, I'm good. I'm not anxious right now. But I saw you do that. I was like, wow, I've only seen one other human being. The world.
Yeah, I do that a lot. I don't know why.
Close the door from the top.
It's probably
it's dusty. It's dusty up there too. You're the only person who ever touches up there.
I always have to wash my fingers off
after you close the door like that.
Yeah.
How old are you, Matt?
I just turned 25. Quarter of a century.
Do you feel a clock ticking? Do you feel young, or do you feel old, or do you feel you're running out of time, or
I feel that clock from Stranger Things. No, I'm just kidding. I feel great. I don't notice that stuff at all. sometimes I don't even really remember how old I am. Like when people ask me, I'll be like, 25. It just doesn't, I don't think about it ever.
Do you feel healthy? Like the healthiest you've ever felt?
Yeah, I feel great.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what it's kind of like to be 25. There's what do you think about all the young guys in your sport? The young guys and girls. Do you think of them as young? Like, oh shit, there's that dude's only 22. Like isn't the champ? How old Justin Medeiros? He's only 22, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, whenever I got into CrossFit, I got in at a younger age. So like my first couple years competing on a team, I was like 18, 19 years old. And so I was always like, oh, I'm the young one. Like I'm young in the sport. I'm young, whatever. Even whenever I would go train, like when I met Carrie for the first time and met Bethany and Danielle, I was like, oh yeah, I'm young. And now you see guys like Dallin and James and like Emma Carey and even Alex Gazan, 20 years old. It's like, what the hell? These kids, like, I mean, like seriously, these kids, like they're good. Like they are really, really good. Like those boys down at the Brute Camp are insane for being 20. It's and ridiculous.
There's people, Medeiros seems 22, but in the interviews I see like Alex Gazan, she's like a woman already.
Yeah, she
seems like wise and mature and shit. I'm like, holy cow.
She definitely has like her ditzy side still. You'll see when you talk to her.
Can't wait.
But yeah, she is composed, and I think that's kind of a trait among CrossFitters, right? It's like you're kind of in a situation that is a little bit more mature. Like you've got moms going to your classes, or you've got you're teaching a 60-year-old man how to squat, and it's like you're kind of forced to be a little bit more mature, even just as far as like how you communicate with them. So
yeah, that's interesting. You said that at 20, I would have never ever fucking hung around anyone who's 50 or 60. But if you're a CrossFitter, not only are you in a class with a Filipino to your right and a guy to your left wearing a turban, you're also with two grandmas and it's the whole
and then the other one's got
the whole smorgasbord.
Yeah, it's definitely a very interesting dynamic being in a CrossFit gym. So I think like these kids that have been there since their teens, and that's just like natural to them, right? Like they talk to you the same, no matter what your background is, what your age is, anything like that.
Yeah. My mom used to tell me that she didn't go to the at her first gym. This is a bunch of years ago. She's 78 now, but she used to not go to the weekend partner classes. Like every weekend her gym had partner classes because she felt bad, like she was slowing someone down. I'm like, Mom, no one gives a fuck. That just means they have to work harder, and if they get more rest, that means they just get a different stimulus and they just work harder in their section. And now she gets it. It's like, yeah.
And I don't really know anybody that ever went hard on those partner workouts. Like usually that was like social hour. Like people just BS the whole time.
You're training under Justin Kotler,
and
it's Underdogs Athletics.
Correct.
And would you say that in this book that Bob Rotella wrote, that you have that, what I think is the special sauce is just persistence.
Yeah.
Do
I
it.
don't know
Say it, Matt.
Well, so this, I don't know if, do you, there's
It's
a
okay.
CrossFit video. There's a CrossFit video that talks about patience. I don't know, like, what your relationship is, if you love like CrossFit, hate it, or pissed off, whatever. But
Angry. Think of me as an angry little man.
Okay, that's fair, and that's what I figured. But
I love CrossFit. It saved my life, and it saved my family's life, and it changed. It's by saved, I mean it's the great. It's one of, besides being born, it's one of the greatest things that ever happened to me. It allows me to live longer and do good things on this planet.
Yeah.
With my mom and my kids and my wife. I mean, shit, doesn't get better than that.
Which is like, I think,
and it made me wealthy. And it made me wealthy. Don't forget about that. That's important too.
That helps.
Yeah. Yes.
But I think if you ask anybody, that's definitely, or at least like at this much, with this much involvement in CrossFit, it's like, yeah, it definitely saved my life. Like, I was not going to be going down this path. Anyways, what were we talking about?
You were going to say something. You were going to say something. I want to see if you can remember and if I can get it out of you. We were talking about. Go ahead.
Yes. Sorry. I know. There's a patience video that just talks about, like, you know, the patience that it takes to become successful. And I think if you look at any great athlete, like Matt Frazier for sure, but, you know, you go into other sports and you look at Tiger Woods, or you look at, you know, a Kobe Bryant that puts in 10,000 hours into their craft. That's where I feel like I'm at, is like working towards that 10,000 mark. And I know that, you know, if I stick with it long enough, good things will come. And I think if you look at the guys who are really good, like, they have stuck with it. Like, you know, I saw a statistic that there's 3 athletes with 9 games trips this year, which is crazy. And that seems like something that continues to happen, right? It's like these guys, like Travis Mayer, right? Like, he was a great dude. I loved, you know, being able to compete with him at Granite Games. And just talking to him about, like, the process of what it's been like, because he started in 2013, or maybe before then, but made it to the games in like 2013, 2014. And it's like crazy to think about 8 years later, he's still doing it. Like, he's still going back. He's got 4 kids and he's still, you know, kicking ass at CrossFit, like making us look silly. So I think it is one of those things where if you are really bought in and you just continue to put in that work day after day, like, it will come.
When he talks about persistence in the book, I'm tripping a little bit because he talks about burnout with other athletes. But what I think I did, I think I hurt myself. I think, and he talks about, like, the importance of, like, even though it's not enough, just if you want to be the best golfer in the world, it's not enough to golf 3 hours a day. He still says, like, you know, he has no problem if every 6 weeks you want to take a week off. But I think with myself, like, I hurt myself. I was getting up in the morning doing a workout, then in the afternoon doing a workout, and then at night before I go to bed do a workout, and just stupid shit. You know what I mean? Like deadlifting every single day. Yeah. And with CrossFit, I feel like there's a level, you have to be persistent, but you have to part of that persistence has to be healing.
Yeah, very much. I've noticed that my entire routine has changed to pretty much revolve around recovery. Like, the little things that we talk about and the things that we want to be consistent with. Like, I trust Justin with all of my strength and, like, every programming piece. You know,
you
like,
do.
He'll get me strong enough.
Wow.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that. I'm going to make a note. I want to ask you about that. I always wondered what Justin does. Okay. So he's a giant brain.
He's a big brain.
Okay.
Big brain. But
so recovery.
Yeah. So, like, a lot of my routines now are focused on, you know, getting the most out of my body and getting the most to be able to go back in the gym the next day and perform. So it's like being consistent with those things too makes a huge difference. Yeah, a world of difference. I mean, it's crazy.
There's a friend of mine who I think took second place at one of the CrossFit Games, and he told me that he would have won the CrossFit Games if he didn't smoke so much weed. He said he was smoking weed like 10 times a day. And in that book, it talks about like if you're having any struggles or hiccups, it's because you have some bad habits that you need to change and get rid of. Like, are you constantly like watching those too? Like, make sure no bad habits sneak in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like Carrie. It's super simple.
Carrie Pierce, right?
Yeah, Carrie Pierce.
Yeah, okay.
So KP and I were talking about that one day, and she put it really simply because Carrie's just a very like simple but stoic person. And so she was just like, yeah, whenever I would do stuff, I would just like ask myself, is this helping me towards my goal? And if it wasn't, then I wouldn't do it. And I was like, oh, is that simple? Cool. But when you think about it like that, right? Like, you know, it does kind of make sense. Like, do you want to be out at the club, out at a bar all night, or going downtown on the strip? Or do you want to be making it and winning the CrossFit Games? And I think if you think about it in terms of that, like if you think about it big picture and you realize like some of the things that do serve you and some of the things that don't, it makes all those decisions really easy.
Man, you nailed it. Every single story, everything that happens in my life now, whether it's me doing it or someone else doing it, is I turn into moving things forward. So I'll give you an example. There are these two parents for 2 years. They made their kids wear masks to my son's tennis academy. And 3 days a week, they show up there and the kids are masked and the kids are masked and the kids are masked. And those parents, and I got into it with a couple of those parents. I don't sit by those group of parents, but one time they came over to me and they were like talking about the vaccine. I'm like, only an idiot would get the vaccine. And they got mad at me. They got and I don't blame them. Like they believed in it. Well, just the other day, I'm listening to them talk and they're talking about how fucked up the vaccine is and how fucked up it is to put masks on your kids. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be a good story for my podcast.
Wait, you know the same parents that were...
same parents. Yeah.
Oh,
things change.
Yeah,
Things change. But I have a friend who's telling me, hey man, you got to let people off the hook. But it's funny, like can turn all of these things now that happen to me in my life. You know what I mean? Like if I'm somewhere and a bird shits on me, it's not bad. It's now a story. And so I'm tying this to what you were saying. Like if it's not benefiting your life, then or benefiting your goals to win the CrossFit Games, to sit at the top of the podium, then
well, so here, this is gonna maybe kind of get a little bit deep, but I love it, especially at 7:30 a.m. That's kind of life, right? Like life is a journey, and there is nothing that really just happens to you, right? Like I think things kind of happen for a reason. Like obviously if a bird shits on me when I walk outside, it's probably not like a deeper reason for that. But I feel like a lot of the interactions, a lot of the relationships I have, a lot of the communication, you know, that I have with people, like all those things are teaching me lessons that I can then use. Maybe it's a month down the road, maybe it's 5 years down the road. Like,
yeah,
if you're able to kind of be aware and be present and take inventory of those things while they happen, that's when I feel like you kind of really realize like the beauty in life and the beauty in like what life does for you or what life can do for you, rather than just kind of going through it, making the same mistakes 8 times and then being like, oh, well, why didn't I, you know, looking back and having regrets basically, you know, like that's where I feel like people aren't present, is people that don't understand what's happening to them, and, you know, kind of use that to make the changes that they need to.
It took me so long to realize that you open 75, you open 600 peanut butter jars in your life. The only one you remember is the one you opened and there was a used condom in there. All the other 599 get thrown away. This one fucked up peanut is the only one. And I don't know when it was, maybe like 5 years ago, but now it's gotten really strong. Now that I have a podcast and I'm always looking for stories to tell. Now it's like you want to be riding in the Uber and the guy throws up on the seat. You don't want just a regular Uber ride anymore. You know what I mean? You want it that you want to be in the 7-Eleven when someone runs through there naked. Like it's your life. Instead of being like, ooh, that's gross, or I can't believe it. It's like, wow, that's interesting that, you know, I just saw the world's the biggest cockroach I've ever seen. It's not gross. Now it's a story. Everything's enriching my life.
Do you find yourself doing that when you go through your life? Do you find yourself like romanticizing things that happen to be like, oh, I could tell it this way, and this would be a really good story on my podcast?
Absolutely. Absolutely. What can I do to make this? Everything now is like, yeah, everything's like that now. It's like, how can I say that so that it's funny? Or yeah.
Do you have a switch that you can flip on and off to be like, okay, I'm being present with my kids, I'm focusing on them, or like, versus being like, oh man, I'm at a coffee shop right now and this guy just like spilled it all over his crotch. Like, that's a funny story.
There's not that switch.
I guess
there's not that
better.
switch, but there is a switch when I sit down to talk to you. Like the second I'm
interesting
done from, like when we get off, I go brrr. And so I almost avoid people when I'm in public. Whereas I don't do that on the podcast. I fully want to engage with someone.
Interesting. You're like more observant in those settings, like public settings. Interesting.
Yeah, more observant. Do you have good situational awareness?
I like to think so.
Yeah. Like if you were walking down an aisle and someone was having trouble grabbing something up high, you would see that and get it for them.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
There's this gate at my there's a back entrance to my kids' tennis academy, and there's a gate there. And so when I leave, I always, if I'm going to run to my car and get something, I leave out the gate, but I let it has a spring action, and I don't let it close all the way, right? But every once in a while, you go down, some assholes pulled it shut. So when I come up, sometimes I'll just be standing there by the gate, and like 15 people will walk by, and it's so obvious I want to come in.
Yeah.
And there, no one will do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm just like,
some people just exist by themselves. Like they do not have any awareness of what's happening around them. I wish I had a story for that. I wish there was something that I could recite.
I think that's how magicians work. I think they just take advantage of people's lack of awareness. I think a lot of it.
Oh yeah.
They just are just raping and pillaging people's just that they're asleep.
Do you ever try to watch? Sometimes I'll watch YouTube videos on, like, I don't seek these out, but if it comes up, I'll like watch a magic trick and I try to figure out what they're doing. Like, especially with the sleight of hand stuff. It's like, obviously it happens so fast, but you're just like, what the fuck? Like, how the fuck did you do that?
I suck at figuring that stuff out.
Yeah. No matter how aware I am, like, I'm racking my brain. And sometimes you're just like, I cannot imagine how this happened.
Speaking of
or the people that swallow swords, that's another thing. I just have zero clue how that happens.
Or those guys who were swallowing glass, some of those guys died prematurely, like they were really doing that. Did you ever see that stuff? The guys eating the cups?
No.
Oh, it's brutal.
Like chewing on glass?
Yes. It's brutal. Yeah, it's brutal. It's crazy shit.
Well, yeah, fuck that.
That can't be good for you, right?
That gives me the heebies. No, probably not.
When this is about the pull-up bar incident. When something happens somewhere and my wife's with me, my wife will usually, that upsets me, my wife will usually calm me down. So let's say if someone cuts me off, my wife will be like, "Hey, dude." If I got pissed, she would calm me down. Or if like we were somewhere, she wouldn't engage. If someone disrespected me or did something to me, my wife wouldn't be like, "That motherfucker disrespected you, whoop his ass." That's not who she is. She's like, Let's move on to the next thing. Take a deep breath. Like, she doesn't feed into my ego or my pride. When I spoke to Justin Kotler in the car after the pull-up bar incident, and for those of you who don't know, there was at the semifinals this year, in a nutshell, basically there was a pull-up bar that made it so Matt Dlugos couldn't kip properly, and then if you added 20 seconds to his score, which a lot of people think he could have he could have easily have done if he had a pull-up bar the right height, then he would have knocked out my dear friend Colton Mertens, and he would be going to the CrossFit Games. So it's a pretty intense subject. And but when Justin was in the car and you were next to him, he was getting really riled up. And I just kept thinking, is that good that the coach is getting riled up? And now it was after the incident. So I don't know if in the time he might have been like, Matt Dlugos, don't worry about it, brother. Just do your best. Or was he fired up then too? Did he handle that right?
I'm not going to say whether he handled it right or wrong, because regardless, we got to the same point. I will say that whenever
part of me is like, I appreciate the fact that he's so pissed. He loves you. It's so obvious. It's like Team Dlugos or Team Brandon or whoever he's focused on. It's like Team Scuds. I mean, so I appreciate that part. But another part of me is like, man, maybe he should be pushing that down.
Yeah, but like that's the thing is that is him. He doesn't turn that off. Like, it's not like he's like, oh, I'm not going to be passionate about this thing. I'm not going to be pissed off from an athlete who just got fucked over by a pull-up bar, or just, got a no rep on a legless rope climb like Ali did at Atlas, right? Like, he can't not be upset. Do I think that there's a time and a place for that stuff? Maybe. I know that whenever I finished that workout, I got, I was obviously like upset that I lost, but I was like, or not lost, but I was upset with where I came in. But I was like, you know what? Like, I made the most of that event. I did what I could. I was tough on everything mentally, and, just did, like I said, did whatever I could. So I was on the floor, like, decently happy, decently like, okay, like, this is fine. Like, it is what it is. You kind of have that moment after you finish where you take inventory of what happened. You kind of, allow emotion to come in a little bit, but then you're done with it, right? Like, you don't stew in it. So for me, I'm like, okay, like, it happened. It was what it was. I've got one more day of competing. Like, let's go into it on a good note. And I walked up the stairs, and like, Justin's just up there fuming. And just
at that point, I think it's okay, kind of, that he's fuming. But how about before the event? Was he fuming before the event?
No. Because you don't
want to get into your head, right? He doesn't want to get into your head and like give you a built-in excuse.
Yeah, no.
Like could he have said, "Hey, who gives a fuck if the bar's low? Get it, you pussy. Be accountable." Like, what if he had taken that approach?
For sure.
Yeah.
If he would have said that, I mean, that would have been fine.
Yeah.
No matter what he said.
And then afterwards, fucking burn the fucking place down.
Yeah. But like whenever I walked up, like I said, like, I was in good spirits, and then he started to bring that up where he was just like, it was bullshit, like, it was hard to watch, like, it should have been a little bit taller, and blah blah blah, like, that cost, when started getting into that stuff. And then in the car, he really got animated and really got into it. And I was just sitting there kind of just like, not getting sad, but just kind of like, man, that did suck. Like,
it's pretty clear it kept you out of the game. It's pretty clear. Like, I don't think you should have this mindset. I think you should blame yourself. But as a fan, it clearly kept you out of the games. Like, it's pretty easy to do the math. If you would have just 20 seconds and it would have fucking pushed everything around.
Yeah,
we did it on the show, and everyone agreed, like, oh shit, this is bad.
Yeah, but I mean, I also missed a 330 clean and jerk complex. Like, if I would have hit 325, that is a difference of a couple points. If I would have pushed the sled like a man instead of a little baby toddler, I could have been at the game.
Which sled?
Oh, the fucking 200 yards of sled push on the first event of day 3. It was like sled push, burpees, sled push.
Oh yeah, running, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So it could have been fitter there. Could have done my muscle ups a little bit better on that big chipper. Have faster speed on my thrusters, or been able to go unbroken. So there's like obviously a lot of different things throughout the weekend that I want to get better at. So yeah, no, definitely not the pull-up bar's fault. Would it make a difference? For sure. But if I think about that for the next year, or if I let myself make that an excuse and hold that as like, that's why I didn't make it to the games, then I will think in my head like, oh, everything else that you're doing is fine. Like, you're good enough at muscle ups, or you're fit enough, or you're strong enough. It's like, no, I'm not. Like, I didn't win every event unless I'm winning every event, that's when I'm like satisfied. And I don't even think that I would be satisfied at that point. But there's a ton of other things that I need to work on and get better at. So if I started blaming something that I have no control over, like, that's pathetic. you know.
Are you are you a religious guy?
A little bit, yeah.
Do you ever
Are you?
I don't think so. I don't know.
It's a tough question.
Yeah. I mean, I think about God like all the time. Like all the time.
In like a curious way.
Yeah, like I'm so enamored by where you were before you were born and where you go when you die.
Right? Do you think
I'm
about that shit?
yeah, full time, nonstop.
Dude,
Like,
it's
but in a good
crazy.
way, not in a scared way. When I was young, I used to think of it in a scared way, but now I kind of have tools to process it.
It kind of lets you put your life a little bit in, or it just gives you perspective as far as like what you're doing and what things you decide to be upset at and the things that you're okay with and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Do you ever ask for guidance?
Like spiritually, like do I
Yeah,
pray
just
and ask for guidance?
hey, like, dear God, whatever you need me, this is my goal. I would really like to achieve it. Make sure you, I will do my best to listen to you if you can give me advice on to make sure I get on the path to this goal.
Well, that's really hard, right? Because like then you're not really putting it up to fate, or you're not really putting it into God's hands. You're kind of like, hey, I'm saying that I want you to help me, but like I want you to give me the answer so I can get what I want, right? And it's like that's not all.
Oh,
It might
so
not
maybe
always
it's
be
got
the
to be
way.
broader. Maybe it's got to be like, hey, God, just so you know, I'm listening.
Hey, God, me again.
Yeah, I'm listening. Even if he wants you
Yeah,
like
sure.
to work at a hot dog cart, you'll do it. Like, hey, God, I'm listening.
I mean, yeah.
In the
that's
meantime, I'm gonna do this CrossFit shit.
dude. That's the way that I figured out how I was gonna get out here. Was I like didn't know that this was gonna be a possibility, and then all
What do
of
you
the
mean by that?
doors.
What do you mean you didn't know if this was going to be a possibility? Just like financially to pull it off, or?
I mean, yeah. So I had lived in Morgantown my whole life, and I was just like
That's
lived with my
Virginia. Where's
parents.
that? Where's that?
Yeah, West Virginia. Sorry,
Okay.
that's where WVU is at. West Virginia University is in Morgantown, which
Okay.
is like one of the bigger, if not the. There's like that and Charleston are the two biggest cities, which aren't that big, but
So that was one of the
yeah.
things.
Yeah, so I was like, I'd never really moved. I'd never really like done anything that was like quite that big of a jump or that big of a step, like leap of faith. I didn't know what that would look like. Yeah, financially, like if I would be able to continue the work that I was doing, like what kind of work I would be in for. I didn't even know that it would pan out because like at this point, I had competed at like a couple like smaller level like sanctionals, but I like didn't do very well. And so I was like, well, now I'm just kind of pushing chips all into this thing, like for what? Like it might not even play out. But like I said, all of the doors lined, like all of the stars lined up perfectly for me to come out here. So with things like that, I definitely believe that there's some kind of divine intervention happening where it's like, you know, if you're open to those things and if you're aware of, you know, again, like being able to see the bigger picture of kind of what's happening in your life, that was definitely a moment that stood out to me of like, hey, something, God is pushing you in this direction to kind of take this step and trust and believe.
Well, can you give me an example of something that fell into place? Like, did like your apartment open up, or did a sponsor be like, hey, we'll pay your rent, or was there some like anything particular that stands out?
Well, I mean, I had like resounding support. I didn't know that I would, like moving across the country by myself, with my dog, but by myself, not really knowing anybody, like to have all of the support that I did was pretty special. At the time, the company that I worked for was open to allowing me to continue to work for them remotely, which again was another like show of support or like another, you know, door opening up in that line.
You have a job now? You work?
I do. I'm a coach.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. At least it's in your field.
Yeah. And it's nice. I love helping other people. If anybody wants to sponsor me, I'm open to it. I don't know if that's shameless plugging or not.
Me too. I'm open to it too. If you want a wholesome person, Matt Dlugos. If you want something a little less wholesome, I'm Sevan Matosian, the Sevan podcast.
We can be the yin and yang. We can
yes
rock this world.
You want to sponsor both of us? We'll do a regular meeting of the wholesome and unwholesome.
Yeah, we're getting into some deep topics here. I won't lie.
We'll do the salt. We'll do the salty and the sugary.
Mm.
So you go there, and are your mom and dad proud of you?
I think so. I hope so. That's the goal, right? Like, make them proud. I was thinking about this last night, man. Like you were. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. This is just full circle. I love these kind of moments. Good. I was thinking about this last night. What is life without family? Like, think about all the things that your family has done for you, right? Like,
by the way, if your family's dead, don't go kill yourself right now. Don't listen to Matt Dlugos. If your family's alive and healthy, yeah.
I mean, like, being grateful for the family that you do have, right? Or the pseudo family that you have, like people that care for you, people that show the love and support for you. But like, I think about it with my parents. Like, they've sacrificed a lot to have kids, and I'm sure that you know this. Like, you sacrifice a lot to have kids. You put your life on hold. It becomes that for your children. And I think it would be a big disservice to my family and to all the things that they've gone through if I were to just be like, okay, I'm 18, I'm 21, I'm whatever. I'm peacing out. I'll never see you guys again. Like, I'm going to move across the country, not talk to you. Like, I'm going to go my own way, blaze my own path, whatever. Like, that's so messed up. And, to see people, I understand, that there are different circumstances for everybody, right? But like, I really want to make sure that I cultivate a good relationship with my parents, with my grandparents, with my sisters, to just, spread that love and really kind of say, like, thank you for everything that you've done for me. Like, thank you for putting me in this position to be able to move across the country and chase after my dream for a few years, and not really be present for a lot of things that happen with families. But yeah, I'm very grateful for the family dynamic that I have and the relationship that I have with my parents.
When I'm going to say this, and it's kind of true, but it's a little bit romanticized, but when I had my first kid at 43, a door opens up. And in that door, you can step through it and you can become selfless. And if you do decide to walk through that door, you'll be rewarded with something that's, I don't know. It's a gift. Let's call it the gift of seeing. And you don't get that gift unless you become selfless. And one of the ways to become selfless, I don't know if having kids is the only way, but it's one way. If you don't walk through that door of selflessness, you won't get the gift of seeing, and your kids will become something you have to sacrifice for, and they'll become hard work. It's kind of like, it's weird. And I see a lot of young people, not just young people, but old people too. But it seems like young people have kids more than older people. By older, I mean over 40. They don't want to step through that door. They think they're going to lose something when you step through the door of selflessness. And you do lose something, but you realize that what you lose, you never wanted. It was a burden. It was a fucking burden. So you walk through the door of selflessness, and now you get a gift in return, the gift of seeing. And then all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, this is awesome. And you wouldn't say stuff like I don't sacrifice anything for my kids, because everything I'm doing with my kids, I couldn't think of anything better I would rather be doing. It's actually the rest of the shit. It's actually the opposite. Yeah, it's a trip.
I've heard that said before.
It's a trip. Yeah.
A couple of my buddies who have recently had kids, like within the past 4 or 5 years, they've all said that too. I ask them how it is to be a dad, and they're like, Matt, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. They're like, like you're not
catch yourself doing stuff you would never. So like, I'll hear someone get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and there's not one fiber in my body that wants to get up, but my body gets up and goes and checks on them and gives them a kiss and makes sure that they wash their hands and wipe their butt. And then I tuck them in and then I go to bed. And it's the whole thing's like an out of body experience. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? You know what I mean? I don't even recognize myself. Or I want to sit at the beach and drink beers with my friends, but they're in the water. So I'll go in the water with them, even though I'm freezing, you know, and they're just kids. They don't care, but I'm in there. And there's nothing I'd rather be doing than being miserable in the water with them. It's so weird. It is so weird.
When you are parenting or when you are raising your child, do you find that you do better trying to teach the child from the mistakes that you've made or from the things that have made you successful? Like, are you trying to make them, you know, kind of as close to you as you can? Or are you like, hey, you do your thing, I made this mistake, just like, let's try not to make that again?
I don't know if I've crossed that bridge yet, but one of the biggest, for sure, one of the worst parenting techniques I see, and I see it nonstop, is parents that react to their kids. And you see it everywhere. Like, the best advice I could give to any parent is to just be in constant meditation. Your kid falls down, don't react. It's not, oh, or you're okay, or are you okay, or any of the reactions.
Yeah.
No one wants that. Treat them how you would want to feel if you fell down. You fell down. Maybe someone, like, if my kid falls down really hard, I'll walk over, I'll kneel down next to him. I'll just sit there. He'll stand up. He'll be crying. He'll hug me. I'll give him the best fucking hug I can. I'll be like, dude, sorry that happened to you. I don't say anything. Like, I just like, let his life unfold for him. And you just be sort of there for them. Don't react.
Yeah.
They don't need you. Like, there's parents who are just always talking to their kids. Like, stop.
Yeah.
Just shut the fuck up and leave them alone. Stop reacting.
Yeah.
So 3 days in a row, I went somewhere where there were other kids. And every single time their kid did something bad, the parent would make an excuse for their kid. Oh, I'm sorry. He doesn't have a lot of social interaction with other kids because of the last 2 years. Or, oh, I'm sorry, my kid's shy. Or it's like, dude, shut it. Shut the fuck up and just let your kid be his kid. And
well,
they flourish, right? And they flourish. Yeah. You just have to be there to make sure Uncle Buck don't get them and a dog doesn't bite them. And if you can protect them from those two things.
Yeah. That's how they learn, right? Experience.
Yeah.
Like, you got to go through that stuff. Yeah, man.
Did you, I had this friend, I was the kind of person, like, if a girl liked me, I would just date her.
Define dating.
Like, I would just start dating her. I would just fall in love with her. Just like, I never did one night stands. Like, if the girl next door liked me, I'd be like, yeah, let's go out. And I'd like, they try to fucking base. I'd be all in.
Right.
Yeah, I'd be all in. Holy shit, a girl likes me. I'm all in. Let's hold hands and let's
get married tomorrow.
Yeah. Let's go walk and get some sparkling water and maybe, you know, steal a cigarette from your dad and smoke it. Like, let's hang out. I'm down.
Yeah.
But I had these friends who would, and I hear this a lot, they would sabotage themselves. A girl would like them and they would try to picture themselves marrying the girl in the future. And they'd be like, it's not going to work out. So they wouldn't date the girl and they wouldn't have the experience.
Interesting.
Do you have a girlfriend?
I do not.
No. Which camp do you fall in? Are you avoiding? Do you?
No, definitely don't. Well,
which of those two camps do you fall in? Just immerse yourself? Like, hey, I'm all in? Or shit, I already see some signs that we can't be married for 50 years, so I'm going to sabotage this and get away from you.
So I'm trending more towards the, I feel like I'm kind of down the middle. I used to be very much like all in, guns a-blazing, like, let's meet my family tomorrow.
Yeah. Here's a ring.
Now, yeah, right. Like, let's get a dog together. Where's the lease for our house? Like,
yeah.
I used to be a little bit more like that, and now I'm at the point where, again, you come from a small town, and you move to this big city, and you're like, wow, there's a lot out there. There are, like, if I want pizza, there are 50 different places I can go get pizza. Same thing with ladies.
You've never married a woman from Machu Picchu. You've never dated a girl from Machu Picchu, but there's some out there.
Correct.
Or a girl who was born on Antarctica. Right.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with getting that experience of learning, hey, I like this. and this about this person, but I'm not super crazy about this one little aspect, or like, oh, and with different girls, or, you know, there come different experiences, and there come different things that you learn that you do like, or learn that you don't like. And again, that's all part of life, right? Like, I don't know, it's crazy. And you were just talking about kids, but like, I have classmates and things that are getting married at 23, 24, 25, like having kids already, buying houses. And I'm like, y'all don't even know what's out there. Like, you have not, you know, you're sitting at a buffet and you've ate one tray. Like, you've tried one little serving of life and you're ready to settle down. It's like,
right.
Yeah.
When you say classmates, you mean people you went to high school with?
Yeah. Yeah. People that I went to high school and college with that are, you know, like I said, like a couple kids have already had kids. And I think about that. And for me, I'm like, if I had a kid right now, like, my life would be not over, but I would want it to be about my kid's life. And I'm not ready to make that sacrifice yet.
Right. Rich used to always talk about how he wanted to spend more time with his kids. And when he would say that, I didn't have kids at the time. And I was like, is he crazy? But now I get it. He was ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Most of my friends, their kids are already, like, my friends my age, their kids are like old.
Yeah.
So
is
like,
that different for you going through the parenting process?
It's just, I mean, I grinded in my 30s. I can't imagine having kids in my 30s. I had shit to do.
Right.
20s or 30s. I had shit to do. And now the shit I have to do is with my kids. Now, so I'm going to finish this podcast with you. I'm going to take him to the skate park, and I'm going to jump on the phone and start figuring out how I'm going to prepare for tomorrow's podcast, you know, while they skate.
Yeah.
Fuck, it's a good life.
Yeah. Can't complain about that.
Look I think this is Chase. Don't do it. I'm kidding. I love my kids most of the time. Do you have siblings?
Yeah. I have 2 younger sisters.
Are they following in your footsteps at all? Are they athletes?
They are not. My one sister is pursuing nursing, I believe. And then my other sister is going to school. She's got 1 semester left, and she will become a teacher, a little elementary school teacher. So very different paths.
Oh, wow. That's cool. You should tell your sister who's becoming a nurse, if she really wants to help people, she should get into CrossFit.
I will definitely tell her that.
But she won't make any money. Damn.
Yeah. I think that might be the dissuading factor for sure.
Do you golf?
I do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
You have time for that?
Occasionally. It's like once a week right now. I go with Carrie Pierce's boyfriend. His name is Mitch Clune. Usually we'll go out and hit some balls, or my buddy Dakota and I will go out and hit some balls sometimes too.
And when you say hit some balls, someone told me about that. They have one of these places in Santa Cruz. It's like, or maybe it's San Jose, where you just like, you go up top and like you can order like hot dogs and beer, and then you just hit balls as far as you can. Is that what you do?
Yeah. So the one that I go to with Mitch, we have like a legit golf range. So it's like, you got to show up in your attire. Like, they don't allow baggy jeans or like a t-shirt or anything like that. So you got to show up fancy, or golf ready. The one that I go to with Dakota sometimes has like a rave night. So it'll like play some like, you know, crazy lights. Like the lights will be like blacked out, and like they'll have like loud music and stuff. And then there's a Top Golf, which
that's what it is. Top Golf. That's what I keep hearing about. Top Golf.
If you ever get the chance to come out to Vegas, we'll go out to Top Golf there. There's this thing is like 4 stories high. There's bars at every level. There's a pool at one section. I don't even know about the top. I didn't make it. We didn't go all the way up there, but I think there's a pool up top as well. So this thing is like Vegas out. Like, it is like a club plus you can hit some golf balls if you want. So like, we were there, and like we were smacking them around, but you would look left and right, and there's just like drunk idiots, like almost falling over the net, like slipping with their swing. Wild.
You stand on the 4th floor and hit balls from the 4th floor?
Yeah, you just nuke them.
That's awesome. Are there injuries in golf? But like by that I mean, I don't mean like athletic injuries. I mean like someone get hit with a club or balls hit people or.
Yeah, there's videos. Oh man, I could send you some. I just saw one the other day where this dude was going to hit across a pond, and he hit the fence or hit something down low, and the ball ricocheted back and like smacked his buddy who was recording it. You get that sometimes. I've been hit by a golf club too. Back in high school, I was working this camp for little kids, so we were like teaching them how to swing. You know, it's just like kids out there being babysat for 2 hours. But I went to go like help a kid and like place the ball down, and he like swung backwards, and like where I was, he had like smacked me on the top of the head, and like kind of fucking, you know, it kind of started ringing for a little bit. I was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, there's definitely that stuff. Or golf carts. You also have to be careful with golf carts.
Yeah, I've actually had friends roll golf carts. Drunk friends tell me about rolling golf carts.
Or have you seen the video of the guy putting as a bear walks towards him? Like 20, 30 feet away?
Bear putting. I wonder if this is it. Let's see. Videos. Bear, oh no. Bear runs full speed at golfer, then reacts bizarrely at golf clubs. Let's see if this is it. Oh, it doesn't have the. Oh yeah. Here it does. Let's see. See if I get in trouble for playing this. This?
My golf club's the bear. My golf club's the bear.
No, it's not that video. Oh man, that's funny though.
What happens to this guy?
He I think that the video cuts out like as the guy's kind of walking away, but he's like, it's one of those memes where it's like, how am I supposed to chip with this going on? And the guy is like legit like lining up his putt, like taking a couple of practice swings as this bear's walking from like 50 feet away, like, walking closer. And then he finally like realizes like, oh shit, this is probably not something I want to do. So he like hits his ball and you know, starts to backtrack, and oh man, it was crazy. I was like,
a bear will fuck you up. Sage Steele of ESPN just got all her teeth knocked out by Rom in a golf tourney.
Ugh. Got all of her teeth knocked out?
I wonder if it's by the club or the ball. Ask him if he has experienced the dark side of Vegas. No, look at him. Do you know the dark side of Vegas?
You know that answer.
No dark side.
Got hit by a ball.
Sevan is no one running. There's always someone running the back end. Always someone running the back end. When I think of other sports, I think that there's room for innovation. By that I mean, and I had that NBA guy on a couple days ago, and I don't think he understood the question. Innovation it's something crazy when innovation happens. I'll give you an example of innovation. Innovation was the Fosbury flop. You know what that is? When you do the high jump and you turn on your back. Mm-hmm. The guy was the worst high jumper ever in the history, but he won the fucking gold medal in the Olympics because he innovated. He was an engineer, and he never even did high jump. And he's like, these motherfuckers are doing this shit wrong. Mm-hmm. And Fosbury, I think he's still alive. He was an engineer, and he went to the Olympics and he won the gold. The next year he got destroyed, right? Because everyone started using his neck technique. When you see someone like Fikowski, I don't know if what he's doing is innovation, but he's for sure blazing, right? He's kind of like a Lewis and Clark. For a guy who's that tall, he's kind of leading the way, right? He's the best big man ever to do it. And not just the best, he's like, I mean, a couple guys missing, and he'd be games champ, right? 6 years in a row. Do you tell me about how you do that? Do you just plagiarize from him? Do you watch Fikowski videos and be like, okay, I'm going to plagiarize from this guy?
Yeah, all the time. I've got videos saved where I'll like screen record something that he does, and put it up next to mine and be like, okay, how can I make my muscle ups look a little bit closer to what his look like? Yeah, man, he gave me the blueprint, you know, like, and I'm still learning from it. But as a whatever athlete, as a tall athlete, as a short athlete, as a, you know, thicker, stronger athlete, more gymnastics athlete, like, you have to figure out you have to figure out a way to maximize your own success. So as a tall person, I have to figure out, okay, I'm not going to be as fast as Colton Mertens on thrusters, but I have to figure out a way to maximize my points through this workout and my points through this weekend, you know, to be able to accomplish my goal and beat him or beat, you know, whatever that goal is. So Brent Fikowski does a really good job of, professoring the crap out of stuff. So he will figure out a workout and figure out exactly how much time he needs to rest in between from one movement to another, or within sets of muscle ups. Like, he knows, you know, exactly what to do there. He knows the little techniques of like how to more efficiently pick up a barbell or cycle through dumbbell snatches or thrusters, whatever it is. So there are always things that I'm looking, you know, unfortunately he's a pretty closed off guy. I like him a lot. Very, very, you know, easy to chat with and easy to kind of like mess around with, but you can tell that there's a lot of knowledge in his brain. And I would love to pick that brain of his one day, but while he's still competing, I'm sure that that's probably not going to happen. But if he wants to help another big man do well, another shameless plug.
Could you just go up there and just train with him? Wherever, I mean, when I say up there, I don't even know where he trains. I just figured somewhere like way up high in Canada.
Sevan, yeah. It is sunny 363 days out of the year here. I don't want to leave that.
Right.
It's amazing here.
Yeah, maybe you need to invite him. I wonder if he leaves.
I don't know. You just had that kid. That kid. You just had a kid.
He had a kid too? Are you confusing him with Vellner? He had a kid.
No. He's got a kid.
Man.
It was like a super low-key post that he made, or his wife made, I think. And it was just kind of like, yep. And then I asked him about it whenever we were down at the Granite Games, and he was like, oh yeah, like, she's a couple weeks old, blah blah blah. So
if you want to get close to him, talk about kid shit. Dude, people who just had kids are fucking nuts.
Okay.
They're nuts about their kids. So use that to get close to them.
For sure. I'll weasel my way in.
Is there room for innovation in CrossFit? And I'll give you an example. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, as a sport or as a, like how you were talking as far as maybe like innovating a movement or innovating a train, like a way to train.
Like the butterfly, or maybe something with the push-up. Or you know, we saw this thing that Fikowski does where he throws the wall ball and then he brings his hands down like that. You know, this thing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Is there room still to innovate in CrossFit, like places where people can, you know, I mean, if you think of it this way, if you increase your efficiency by 0.5% in 6 places, now you have 3% more, and that's huge, right? That's huge.
Yeah.
Do you see?
I get what you're asking. I think that innovation, you know, would look a little bit different. I think that efficiency is what you're looking for, right? Because, like, especially for me as a taller athlete, you know, you got to maximize time, or minimize time. So, like, I have to minimize the time that it takes for me to get from one movement to the next, or to get started on the next movement, or between one rep to the next, right? Like, being able to be a little bit more efficient with doing a snatch, dropping the bar, either letting it settle, putting my hands on, like, there's things like that are, you know, innovative. But I think that that's the cool part about the sport, is that there's not really, you know, like when you watch Brent train, or you watch Noah train, or you watch Rich train, there's not anything that they're doing that's like crazy different, right? It kind of just comes down to, like, are you willing to work harder than the guy next to you? Like, are you willing to suffer? Which I like, right? Because then there's nothing that's, and maybe this is me saying this because I don't want to give an excuse to something that I'm going to not be great at, right? So, like, I don't want to look at Carrie Pierce doing strict handstand push-ups and be like, oh, well, she has a special way of doing it, you know, that I can't even really try to emulate because she's super short and her levers are different. So I might as well not even try, right? I would rather say, no, like nobody's doing it differently than you are. You just need to do it better.
Yeah.
And that kind of drives that pursuit.
How is your metabolic conditioning? Is it good? Do you feel like you have a big engine when you think of yourself?
Yeah, I think that we're working on moving my engine a little bit more towards like CrossFit workouts. Like I have a pretty good engine whenever it comes to like monostructural work, running, rowing, any kind of like combination of those. But it's when you start to add body weight movements, you start to add handstand push-ups or muscle ups or, you know, box jumps, burpees, whatever it is. That's where I start to struggle a little bit. So we're working on it.
Have you ever cried in a workout?
No.
Do boys?
Never
I
in a
don't.
workout.
This is gonna sound horrible, but I don't care. I've never seen a boy crying. I've seen girls cry in workouts. I've never seen a boy cry in a workout.
Like in a workout?
Yeah, like in a workout.
Nah, I just tell myself quit being a bitch. Like,
Yeah.
and go. I think that's the male mentality versus like I know you ask Alex the same question. She cried like in training, like just the other day.
Alex, yeah. It just
like she says,
let some tears roll.
She'll get to the point where she's just like, and I don't even think that it's like a, oh my gosh, I'm sad. This workout's so hard. I think it's just like I am putting everything into this workout and like I'm just emotionally fatigued and I need to like let something out. But yeah, no, for a guy, it's like, okay.
My son was sparring with this kid in jiu-jitsu, and the kid started crying, and they kept going. They didn't stop. And afterwards he came over and he said, "Do you know why that boy cried?" And I said, "No, why?" And he goes, "That means you're trying your hardest." I was like, kind of like a teapot blowing off steam, right? Just like,
yeah,
you're kind of just like,
interesting.
You're giving it your all and some shit just spilt over the top.
Yeah, but I feel like crying is a reaction. Maybe that's a male thing too, but like, or not male, masculine. But it's
so crying's a reaction. It's not involuntary, like breathing or ejaculating or digesting food.
For me, it's a little bit more of like something happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having these emotional responses, and crying is the way that I'm going to release them. And maybe for some people that happens instantly, where they're like, I'm overcome with emotions because I'm trying so hard, and just tears, you know.
Do you remember the last time you cried?
Yeah.
When was that?
When I was 14 points away.
Oh, tell me, you did? You went and wept?
I mean, yeah, I shed some tears, bro. I'm not ashamed of this. I was upset after.
Cried and not ashamed. That's a shirt. Cried and not ashamed. Collar, make him the shirt.
He knows it. He saw it.
This is great. So you're out there. They announced that Mr. Mertens is going, and then do you feel yourself over? Do you feel that, like, I'll sometimes be like when we start talking about God earlier, I'll feel my tear ducts turn on. Like I'll feel like yeah. And often in my podcast, I'll feel my tear ducts turn on. I'll get this super crazy, intense emotional charge, and I'll feel did you feel your tear ducts turn? You know what I mean? That feeling? You're like, oh, yeah, you motherfuckers just turned on. Like mine just turned on a little bit now thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my body gets into this weird, like, it's like, it overcomes my body where I kind of just feel like almost like a little like goosebumpy, like a little like, ooh, like what's happening here?
Yeah.
And I'm definitely like, oh, this is me being upset, me being sad. It happened more after, like, so I finished the event and I was like, you know, hoping that it did enough, but, you know, in my head kind of being like, okay, it probably didn't do enough. But then I was like, well, I came in, I think in 10th or 9th. So I was like, well, I just, you know, now can maybe start thinking about whether or not I made it to the last chance. And then they like came up and they're like, hey, Matt, we're going to drug test you. And I was like, oh. And they're like, we're going to drug test you because you made it to Last Chance. And I was like, oh, cool. And the lady, her name's Bree. I love her. She's a sweetheart. But she goes, I was like, oh, do you know where I finished up? And she's like, yeah, I think you were like 6th or 7th. And I was like, oh, don't tell me that. Like, don't tell me that I was like, you know, it's not a James Sprague where it's 1 point close, but it's like, make a clean and jerk, do a little bit faster on a different workout.
So they haven't even announced it, and she tells you that? They haven't even announced it yet, and she tells you that?
Is that bad? Am I going to get her in trouble? No.
I don't know.
No, yeah.
And if you are, it's too late.
No, she comes up and tells me that I'm about to be drug tested, and like Kiefer and Justin were over there with me, so they're like refreshing the leaderboard, and it didn't update yet.
And you guys are all just milling around, all the guys in the final heat.
Yeah, just kind of standing around talking to whoever. And I'm just kind of sat there like, oh man, she said 6th. Like that might be a reach, but like maybe it's 7th. And then they told me 7th by 14 points. And I was just like, fuck. Like, seriously, like what started going through my mind was, you made a dumbass jump. You should have hit 325. I was like, you left a couple other points on the table throughout the weekend.
And you're feeling really emotional. You feel like you could start crying at any second.
Oh, on the field?
Yeah. When she told you that.
I was like, yes.
Did any roll? Did any come out?
I think so. I think one rolled out before I caught it. And then, you're just sat there.
Did you push it back in? Did you roll it back in, or did you wipe it off?
No, I flicked it to somebody in the crowd. I said, here you go.
You flicked it on Colton.
Yeah. I was like, here, you take my tears. Know how it feels. Yeah. But
when I got fired from CrossFit, I don't know if it was that day, but I remember at some point being like, okay, I think I need to cry. And I didn't even know why. I didn't even know why. Like, there was no narrative behind it. There was no like, my life's over, or what am I going to do, or this isn't fair. There was no narrative like that. But I just went, I just went into my bedroom, and I laid on the floor, and I shut the door, and I just kind of like faked it until kind of like I was real. Like, yeah, until it was real. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
And it was crazy.
I'm not lying.
And I've never done that before, but I was like, man, this something's in here that has to get out. It's like taking a shit. Yeah. It was like taking a shit. And then I cried for like 10 minutes, and then I was like, okay. And it was over. But it was weird. There was no, my whole life, usually when there's crying, there's like some sort of narrative behind it. Well, I'll tell you another interesting crying moment. The year, I don't know who won the CrossFit Games, but it was I think it was the first year it was in Madison. And
you don't know who won the game?
Was it Tia? It must have been, it was either Tia or Matt. Is that why?
Well, I was going to say there's probably like A or B.
Oh, 50, so it was the girls. So it must have been Tia then. And all the girls started crying up there except for like 2. I think maybe Bethany Shadburn was one of the ones who didn't cry.
Really?
But all the girls cried except for 2, and I was up there with my camera, and that was fucking intense. That was just like you were too close to the fire and you were catching on fire. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to cry, but I just felt like I was fighting back tears the whole time. I'm like, what the fuck am I crying about? But it's because I was in a room full of people who were crying. It was nuts.
Yeah. Sometimes I find myself being a little bit less sympathetic to people that are crying, because I know, like, if I was going through that, I wouldn't really want somebody to be like, let me come cry with you. I'd want somebody to come over and say, hey, like, it's okay that you're feeling this way, but like, let's start to, like, let's find ways to be productive with this. Like, let's find ways to use this energy that you're feeling, or, to reason through it and understand that there are, there is good to come out of it.
I had my son run suicide sprints yesterday. Do you know what those are? Where you touch the line and run back, touch the line and run back. So he's running suicides, and all 3 of them were running suicides. And he got to like 7, and they were taking turns. I was going to have him do 10. And then he got to 7, and he's like, I'm tired. I'm like, well, there's 3 more. I'll run them with you. And he got to 9 and he's like, hey man, I'm done. And then I was like, hey, you're going to run 5 more with your brothers now. And he got to like 13 and he starts crying. And I'd never seen him cry like from working out or me pushing him too hard. And he's like hyperventilating. He's like telling me he can't breathe, and it's hot outside. It's not that hot, like 85. It's hot outside and he's thirsty and we're out of water. And I didn't know, my reaction was to not be, I got angry, but I didn't show him. And I just sat quiet. Like you were saying, like I didn't, and it's just my philosophy, like don't react. So I just basically sat there and let him come just sit on my lap. And I just stayed super duper quiet. But it was interesting to see that. I saw the other day a boy's parent, this whole boy's family runs marathons, right? And there's like 6 kids, and the kid was 5 or 7 or something, and he ran a marathon, and he was at mile 22, and he started crying. And that, I know, crazy, right? But his parents were being like, the Child Protective Services came out, you know? And like, part of me is like, but the kid's so proud he did it, right? It's weird. It's weird. I conflated ideas there, pushing your kid so hard to a point where it's abuse versus crying. But
yeah, I don't know. I think that crying is a thing that is obviously natural. You have to go through that feeling. Like you have to process whatever emotions you're feeling, you know? And for some people, processing it looks like crying. It's funny that you say that. I think that Bethany would be okay with me talking about this, but like she would get to a point where, you know, like through training, like she would have moments of being very frustrated and upset with something. And like on, you know, like we would be training, whatever, and double unders weren't going her way or something, some other movement wasn't going her way. And she would like take a couple minutes and like cry and just like let that stuff out. And then she would literally be like, you know, we would like come by and be like, hey, come on, like keep your head up, you got this, like, you know, let's keep working, blah, blah, blah. And she would be like, I just needed to feel that. Like, I just needed to get that stuff out, like feel that frustration, that upsetness. And now I'm good. Like, she's like, you know, we don't have to talk about it ever again. And I feel like that's kind of where I get to whenever I cry. It's like, you know, obviously there are times that you'll have a narrative to why you're crying, but there are other times where you're just like, man, if I keep bottling up these emotions and never letting myself feel and express them, I'm not gonna, like, I won't know how to handle myself in any situation. Like the next time I get into a hard situation, I won't know how to handle, you know, this feeling. It's like that quote, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener at war. Like it's better to be in touch with those emotions and be able to feel those.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah. It's better to be able to feel those and know what it feels like and be able to sit there. And like, that's like, I had a conversation with a buddy whenever I got back here, you know, because like I had told him, I was like, man, I'm upset. Like, I don't like the way that this feels. You know, to be close and to be giving it all and come up short. And then like, you know, you have those questions of like, well, am I good enough? Am I fit enough? Like, is this the right, did I make the right decision moving across the country and leaving my family and being by myself and all that stuff? And he's like, oh yeah, like, well,
oh shit, the weight of all of that, just that's like Pandora's box just opened. Wow. Maybe I should have just got a job at the college doing sports education, like that shit, right?
It's like this put it in perspective for me, but I lost my grandfather this year, and he's like the first, you know, of the knowable relatives that I've lost. You know, like I've had like a great grandfather pass away, but you know, I don't really know him that as well as I do my grandpa. And I had my grandpa pass away not too long ago, and those thoughts have filled my head ever since. It's like, you're out here by yourself chasing after this dream. Like, was it worth it? Like, you know, you missed, obviously you can't tell when that stuff's gonna happen, but like, I feel with the tear ducts opening up, but like you have, you know, missed opportunities to see him, and you know, now you've missed the last chances to see him. So it's like they're opening up, but it's like you better make this stuff worth it, you know? Like,
can you leverage that? I know it sounds a little shallow, but can you leverage that? Yeah. You know what I mean by leverage it? Like next time you want to quit a workout, be like, no, I'm doing this for my fucking granddad. I've already wasted I've already wasted my tap outs. Fuck you.
No, yeah, Sevan, like every time that I'm sat there, like, do I want to go through this accessory? Do I want to push this hard on a workout? You know, do I want to, like, whatever it is? Do I want to do everything right? Do I want to go sit in the sauna? Do I want to track my macros and eat well or stretch? It's like, you better fucking do it. Like, did you come all the way out here to not do it? Like, did you come all the way out here to sell yourself short and to, like I said, miss out on these opportunities, or are you gonna try to get it, you know?
Man, you're gonna be so happy. Brittany says, I legit cried in the middle of a road doing a 400-meter body weight prowler push in the middle of August. It was so hot I couldn't breathe. Yeah, of course you did. You're a girl. Okay, next. No, just joking. I can't get a sponsor because of shit like that comes out of my mouth.
Davey, do you need me to be sweet right now?
I'm never gonna get a sponsorship.
That's tough, Brittany. I would struggle as well.
This podcast has been very good. If Sevan keeps it up, I'm going to be a fan of too many. I know, it's crazy. I know. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to stick Dlugos. I knew I was a fan. I like big people. I like big things. I like outliers. I like weird things like you and Colton. And so I knew I'd already, like, when I spotted you came on the scene, I was like, oh, I hope this guy gets good. This is going to be fun being a fan of his. I was already like, all right. I
appreciate that. Thank you.
I like I go to the zoo to see the giraffe, you know?
Gotcha. So that's what I am.
Yeah. Like I'll take a flask and go sit in front, like everyone, I'll be like, I'm just going to stay here and look at the giraffes and get my buzz on. You go look at the rest of the animals.
You ever watch gorillas?
I can't remember. I thought of it.
Zoo in Minneapolis with Alex, and we went to a zoo and they had a gorilla exhibit, and there were a couple gorillas inside, and it opened up to the outside, and there were like 4 or 5 gorillas sitting there. And when you think about, you know, the whole process, and, you know, you start thinking about God, and then you're like, okay, well, you know, what maybe was there like some kind of evolutionary process that went down, and you watch these gorillas like move around, and the way that they like look at each other, and the way that the things that they do, and the things that they, the ways that they just, the actions that they have, the behavior, the interactions, you're just like, wow, like I could literally sit here and watch you guys do this all day. And my mind races is like, you know, did these guys come before us? Like, did these guys, like, what they
should they be in a cage? Like maybe they need to be let out.
Right. Obviously, obviously you have rescues and you have places that are safe for them.
Yeah. But or safe for us so they don't eat us.
For us.
Yeah.
But yeah, you wonder, you're like, do they just like sit there and like fucking hate themselves, like hate their lives? Like it can't be a great experience, right?
Must suck,
like day after day to not.
It must be like what it's like living in a small European country. That's what I think when I think of zoo animals. But they don't. But they don't know any better. I know. Fuck you. Send me hate to my DMs. I don't give a fuck.
I was just like, what? I don't know how to respond to that one.
There's these people. There's just people who live in cities with all of these rules and these concrete jungles. Like I used to live in London for 6 months, or like when I go to the East Coast and I spend a lot of time in New York. I'm like, these people don't realize that like they're caged animals and they don't even know it, and they're okay with it. They want to be taken care of, and that's kind of what it's like. Yeah, I feel bad for those animals. It's like almost like, how about like when you go to aquariums and there's just fish swimming in circles? I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And you see the big ones, but then you go over to those little ones that are like a 2 foot by 2 foot. And you're just like, man, this fish probably swims its head into the wall 50 times a day.
Yeah.
Day after day for the rest of its life.
Yeah.
Great.
I agree, Sevan. It's fun being a fan of this dude.
I love Shannon. That's my gym mom. She is probably somewhere.
Do you really know who she is? Oh.
She took me and picked me up from the airport.
This last chance qualifier thing, I don't know if I should talk to you about this.
I'm here for it.
All
Whatever
right,
you want.
This just looks so miserable. This just sucks so bad. These guys, like all you guys were so Tuesday night we're doing a show. Brian's gonna rank all the athletes in the order of the top 30 best men and top 30 best female CrossFitters, and he said a bunch of them are in the last chance qualifier. I wonder if you're gonna be in there.
Oh,
but
I don't know about that.
But this just looks really bad. This thing is just, there's so many of you vying for so few spots. I just picture you guys should be sleeping and like resting.
Yeah, man.
Getting ready for the games. And now you have to go back out and war.
Yeah. That's been trippy for me mentally because I'm out of, you peak up for your competition and then you come off of it and you have a lot of emotional dump and you just like are tired and you just want to sleep. And you don't even want to eat, but like there's so many different feelings that you have. And then for us, it was like the next, I was like, Justin's like, hey, Friday, you should probably start moving again. And then by the next
But Friday,
Tuesday,
meaning you finish competing on Sunday and he's going to give you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then you got to get back in there.
Yeah, Thursday was like a biker. Like we did a long, like active recovery because I was like, I can't go into Friday not having done anything for 4 days. Like I'm going to feel like trash. But
so Monday,
like,
Tuesday, Wednesday, you actually took off?
Yeah.
What's that look like?
Monday was traveling. So I was in Minneapolis with my family. So I got to spend some more time with them. Tuesday was like catching up with some work stuff, cleaning up the house, like doing all the little things, like once you get back from a vacation or back from a trip.
Unpack,
laundry, vacuum, everything. Wednesday was we went up and hiked this place called Mount Charleston. So me and my dog went up for a little like 3-hour hike, which is really awesome.
And so you're alone and you're processing during those 3 hours. Okay.
Really through the 3 days. Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to picture with you with your family on Monday. It must've been weird. Like you're physically really and emotionally exhausted. What?
It's a really tough balance having family at competitions for me because I love them so much and I want to be around them as much as I can, but I have a job to do and there's priorities. So like going out to eat with them all the time isn't like, I can't do that. And I've had these conversations with them, so they kind of understand, but like you're balancing between let me get the most out of spending time with them because I don't get to see them that often, and let me focus and do everything and be selfish because I need to be in order to set myself up for success. Yeah. And then the day after is kind of the same thing, right? Like you're overwhelmed with everything that just happened, like you're proud of your efforts, you're disappointed with results, you're figuring out what you can do better for next year. You're figuring out, I got to compete in 3 weeks at the last chance qualifier. What does that look like? And then you're like, oh, hey, Dad, let's chat it up about some whatever, like let's, bullshit and, talk to my mom about stuff. And so it's a weird balance for sure.
Hey, just so you know, your parents don't need shit. Like if you're on the floor and you look at your mom, that will sustain her for like a month. If you ever win an event at one of these games things and you go over and the first person you hug is your mom or your dad, they'll explode. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm just telling you as a parent, like they don't need shit. If you just look at your dad and wave, he'll fucking start to get lightheaded and shit. Trust me, we love our kids so much. We don't give a shit.
I know, but
don't feel obligated to give them shit. Just a simple hi or hold your mom's hand or give her a kiss and she'll be she'll come unhinged. We're easy.
I know. But they travel everywhere with me, man. Like I've competed in some amazing places and my mom has been there. She's been to London to watch me compete. She's been to Sweden. She's been to Norway. She's been everywhere. Dude, like only competition that she's missed was Wadapalooza because I got called like the weekend before to go out and do it. That's the only one that she's ever not been at. She's been.
Can you talk to your parents about everything?
I feel like it.
Yeah. Politics?
Yeah. I don't know anything about politics, so I can't really discuss that stuff.
Religion?
That one's a little bit trickier because I was raised very like traditional Catholic, and that's how they were raised. And this has only been within the last couple of years that I've started, having my own thoughts, my own like independent thoughts as far as what's going on in this like crazy world.
Right.
And
like cosmology, like what we are as a,
yeah, like what's happening to us and like why we're here.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, man, like that stuff just doesn't really come up whenever I'm with them.
Right.
Like we chat about a lot of other things instead of these like real serious topics.
My dad has rules, and it's kind of one of the things I want to make sure I never put on my kids. I want them to be able to talk to me about venereal diseases, God, and Biden, Trump. Like it's all. I want to be. Do
you think there's a reason that those limits have been put on your all's relationship?
I mean, I think the obvious answer is yes, but I don't know. I want to say, yeah, well, of course. But then if I'm afraid you're going to be like, why? And then I'm going to be like, fuck, I don't know.
No, I don't care. No.
So I don't know. So I don't know. I mean, what do you think? I want to say, yeah. Like, why? Why would I not want my kid to talk to me about anything? I made him. I'm here for him.
The one thing that I've heard before is like, you want your kid to feel like they are your kid and you are a parent, and there's not any lines of like, oh, we're friends, I can get away with stuff, or I don't have a respect for them anymore. Like, maybe in some people's minds, those conversations like level things out. And then, like you said, like there's no respect for the authority that the parent has.
That's interesting. No, I don't think it's that.
I don't think that either.
I think if anything, it's that my dad might be a little afraid, because I can go anywhere. There's only like a few places in my brain I cannot go, and other than that, I can go. I can explore anything. I can explore. Yeah. There's nothing that really freaks me out. Like but I do like to really drill down and look at like, what does this word mean? What and why is this like this? And I like to just keep going deeper and deeper and just keep peeling back. And I don't think that is something that I don't know why everyone doesn't like doing it. To me, it's like the whole reason we're alive.
I think that the conversations that I've had with my parents, I've noticed a big switch, or just a big progression in what they were or what they are as I've gotten older. So maybe that's something that I'm experiencing, because for my parents, like they've never had a child who's 25 years old. So the things that I'm going through and the conversations that I'm having with myself and then I'm having with them, like these are all first, right? So like I haven't ever cared about politics. So I'm not going to learn about them. And then that means I'm not really going to talk to them about that stuff. Right. But I noticed that I do have more of these thoughts as far as like, maybe a little bit more along the lines of like, what should our life look like? Like what are characteristics that, you should have as a good human being? Like what are things that you want to be remembered for? How to, just like how to live your life. And those are things that there's some dude walking right outside of my patio. That was weird. But those are the conversations that I'm having with them more and more often. So I think maybe it's just like a progression, right? Like maybe it's just a couple steps down the road that we'll get to talking about politics. Like maybe once I have my own kids and I start to care about what governing body chooses the school district or whatever.
Right. I didn't give a fuck about that stuff either. It's funny how that shit creeps in.
Yeah. Right.
I looked at my mom the other day and I go, fuck, your life's weird. And she goes, why? And I go, you have a 50-year-old son. She goes, I know. And I was just imagining. Is there a dude in your house?
No, he's like growling at him now, but he's the sweetest little dog back there. You can see him right there. But he's just ready to rumble.
It would be so weird to have a 50-year-old son, I told my mom. She goes, it is. This must be so weird.
Yeah.
Like you have an old man for a son. Your kids are supposed to be little kids. And now you have an old man for a son. It must be so weird.
Well, that transition was something that I got to see not too long ago, because obviously I just moved out. I've been out here for a year and a half. Yeah. And so whenever my parents were out here for West Coast Classic, there was like a distinct moment where you could see it happening, that my mom was like, this is my baby, but this isn't a baby anymore. Like,
right.
He's a real man. Or he's a grown man, whatever. And that was trippy. That was weird. So
great. Fuck, life is great. Okay, back to before I let you go, I do want to talk about this last chance qualifier a little bit more. So are you getting your head wrapped around it?
A little bit. It's getting more real as the training has kind of increased back up. Like, we've been hitting some really tough workouts, but I've been feeling really, really good with them. So I'm just kind of letting that, boost my confidence, because like you said, it's twofold, right? Like, the field, like, this is like a mini games. Like, there are probably over half of the people that are in the last chance qualifier that have either been to the games or deserve a spot at the games. Like, they're really, really, really fit crew. And then the second thing is that, online qualifiers, like you see this with Brent Fikowski, again, not to make an excuse, but typically they're a little bit more or a little bit less favorable for taller, bigger, stronger athletes. And you get into situations where, like, oh, I can control everything that I can control. Like, I have my favorite rower set up right next to my favorite pull-up bar, and I'm playing my perfect music, and I've got all these conditions that are, you're not really being athletic. You're kind of doing it all in that closed, controlled environment. Whereas, like, I like the competition field. Like, I like seeing a guy, starting to kind of waver and being like, all right, like, step on their throat. Let's go get it.
Yeah.
So it's just it'll be an experience for sure. I'm interested to see what it's like, but yeah, I'm kind of trying not to let I'm trying not to let those two things creep up too much, and just be like, hey, I'm crushing workouts right now. I'm feeling really good. Like, just keep that energy going.
What is the date?
29th.
It's a Wednesday. Oh shit, it's here.
Pretty much.
Will there be something you'll do on the 28th? Like watch the movie Sparta, or I don't know what people watch, and where you're just kind of like, okay, or you're gonna listen to just like Jordan Peterson quotes or Kobe Bryant quotes or just some shit like that, where it's just like, are you here to fucking win? Are you here to fucking, like, will you do something like before, like, to just?
So what served me really well at Granite Games was that I never let myself do that, which is totally opposite of what I've done in years past.
Interesting. Okay.
Like, in years past, I feel like maybe I don't know whether it's mature or immature, but I've let myself fire myself up to the point where I'm like, 2 before, ready to run through a wall.
Yeah.
And so I've like jacked myself up a ton, and then it's really hard to sustain that. And so then I like get fired up for the workouts. I get really antsy about them. I get really anxious. Maybe I start off too hot. I do whatever, doesn't go the way that I want it to. Now I'm a wreck because I'm like, well, I thought that I was going to win that workout, and I finished in 10th. And like, now I have to try to get myself all the way back up to that point again. Like, now I got to watch another Gladiator movie, or I got to watch whatever.
Right.
And so like what I did at Granite Games was like my playlist is Yeba. It's like chill, R&B. It's very relaxing music to just like cool myself down, like just keep myself even keel. So honestly, I'll probably keep that day before very easy, very similar to what I already do. Like, might go hit the range. I might go for a long, drive with the dog, or go to a park or something like that. But I'll try to be as relaxed as I can be, because I think that does, like, I'll get to that point in the workout, right? Like, when I start warming up, Yes. Evergreen.
Wow. Okay. This is R&B? Damn, you're introducing me to all sorts of shit.
Yeah, man. It's good stuff. You got to listen to Boomerang is another really good one by her. She does a cover of Age of Worry, I believe it is, by John Mayer. Like, she does a cover of that, which is amazing. She's a really good artist.
What about on the last day? Can you do that? On the last day of the Last Chance qualifier, can you put in the Sparta?
Yeah. Yeah, last day I'll fucking rage.
So the last workout you can just fucking turn the thrusters on full blast and who cares if you burn out or whatever. So emotionally, just
it's
go.
a long weekend and you have to be able to navigate that pretty level-headed. But when you get to the end, empty the tank.
I've never been afraid of getting. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. So speaking of music, this is complete opposite. But Ricky Garrard introduced me to this artist. His name's Troy Candy, and I will put on. It's usually on SoundCloud, and he might have it on YouTube. But it's like Troy Candy, and he has like 30 something volumes, and I'll pick one of the ones in the 30s, and I will put that on, and it just makes me. And Justin knows it too. It just makes me want to run my head through a wall. And I see why Ricky loves it. And I'm sure that like gets him through his workouts and like gets him to push to that next level. Cause every time I listen to it, I'm ready to just like go dark. It's crazy.
Is this him?
No.
Hey, were you disappointed when Ricky Garrard didn't stay in Vegas when he couldn't? Were you bummed?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I like Ricky. You've talked to him before, right?
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah, he's a great dude.
Yeah, he's totally the kind of friend like I would want my kids to have. He's so chill.
Yeah. He's a great, I mean, obviously a freak athlete, but he's a really good dude. Just,
he's easy, right?
Yeah.
He's not if you're the kind of person who's like, I have to go to this coffee shop at this time and then I have to do this and I have to do this, he'll be like, okay. Like he doesn't seem like the kind of guy, no, I want to go to this coffee shop. He just rolls.
Yeah. Yeah, seems very mellow. I wish that I got to spend more time with him, and actually he'll be coming up here in a couple of weeks. He's right after Last Chance qualifier. Yeah, he's gonna train with us. So that'll be super sick. But
that's it. And then will he stay there until the games?
I think so.
Oh, that's awesome. Will he bring his chick with him?
I know that for the first little bit of time that he's here, he's going to be by himself. And then at some point, Michelle is coming up as well. Because they're staying with Mitch, who is Gary's boyfriend.
Oh, shit. Okay. So it's like a family.
Yeah. We got a nice little family over here.
Kept you so long, but I want to ask you. I want to say one more thing,
dude. I've loved this. Please talk my ear off.
Okay, good. I'm not afraid of. I'm not afraid of getting hurt emotionally. That was another thing. Going back to the relationship thing, like I probably cried like 1,000 times over girls from when I was 5 years old to the present.
Oh, yeah?
Like I don't give a fuck about getting, like I have friends who like don't want to get emotionally hurt. Do you have any issues getting emotionally hurt? Like for me, it's just like part of the game.
This is a tough question for me to answer. And I don't mean for this to come across as arrogant, but like I've never really like experienced that. I've always kind of been the one that's like,
go over there and kick your dog as hard as you can. I promise you, you'll have a you'll hate yourself. You'll hate yourself.
Shut his door. I've shut his tail in the door before. I've done it like 2 or 3 times. Dude, fucking hurts me to hear him scream like that.
It's because you close it from the top instead of like a normal person and look down low.
I don't have time for looking down there. There's nothing good for down there.
So you've never had a girl break up with you or been hurt emotionally like that?
No.
Oh.
I'm waiting for the day. I mean, I'll go through a heartbreak. I'm not afraid of it, but
yeah,
I haven't yet. Yeah. So it's hard for me to speak on that.
Yeah. I remember my first one was in the 6th grade. Man, it fucking hurt.
Really?
Yeah. But it was good for me. What?
You remember it?
Yeah. I totally remember. I remember crying on the couch and putting my head in my mom's lap and I was just wailing. But I think it made me like emotionally very strong. Like in a healthy way, like to navigate. I'm used to it.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable. Right. I'm comfortable being hurt.
Two questions. Have you ever been the one to like break the heart? To do that?
Yeah. I've hurt tons of girls. Yes. I've heard
that hurt just as
that
much,
sucks
right?
too. Yes.
It's a different kind of hurt. It's like you don't want to, that's the right decision, but you don't want to see that person go through what they're about to go through.
For me, mostly it's just I was just dating too many girls. They would always get hurt. I had like 10 fucking girlfriends, and you know what I mean. And that hurt, and people don't like that.
Yeah, they definitely don't. You got to be a little careful about how you converse with all of them.
And I would feel horrible. Hurting their feelings. Horrible.
Do you though? You had 10 of them. You had to have been like, yeah, they're gonna fucking find out eventually.
Oh yeah. I would never even hide it.
Love that.
I would never even hide it. Listen, you can't be a pimp and be hiding that shit. No. I learned at a young age, if you're gonna have 5 girlfriends, they all have there can be no hiding. You can't be, dude. I'll tell you crazy stories. I went to school at UC Santa Barbara. Do you know what that is? UC Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
And there's a town there called Isla Vista, and it's a half square mile with 20,000 students just sitting on the beach in the middle of fucking nowhere, just sitting on the beach. And I would be like just at a outside, like bar area, and with one of my girlfriend, getting drunk and eating, and another one of my girlfriends would come, and then she'd sit down and join us. Yeah, and then another one. And it would just be like, part of me was like, this is so fucked up. But another part of me is like, I'm game. I'm like,
yeah,
it's like tiptoeing through a bunch of mouse traps. Like,
but you're like, I made it. You're like,
I'm game. Like, this is just like, all right. Like, this is like, yeah, of course this is going to happen. And,
I was with,
just act cool, act calm. Like nothing's weird. Just act normal.
Like the fire's going on around you. You're like,
just got your arm on. Just hang. Be nice to everyone.
I was with the 2 girls that I have like dated. I was with them for 2. The one was like 2.5 years. The other one was like all the way through high school and college. And those were experiences where it was like, we like this needs to, feelings have changed and things need to go their ways. But like doing that to somebody that you've spent the last however many years with, that's where it gets like, I don't want to do this, but I know I have to do this, but I don't want to do it. That's a tough one, but I'm just kind of getting into that realm of being a little bit more like you. So if I need any advice, I'm going to come to you as far as like,
all right,
hey,
honesty.
How do I tell my 6 girlfriends?
Honesty is everything. And just being cool. Honesty. The problem is too, your generation, I think it's your generation. I mean, you can tell me they're too demanding. There's too demanding. Like this necessity for constant communication. Texting.
Well,
it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable to me.
That's what I meant by like instant, like you want like an instant gratification or like an instant response or instant validation of your feelings, which is hard. And I've tried to be as upfront with people as I can be to say, hey, I'm doing something that is super selfish. I know that I don't make time for anybody else. And if you're cool with that, cool. But don't say that you're cool with it and then 3 weeks later be upset with me for not texting you back within a 3 hour. Like I could go until the end of the day before I message you back or before I, give you a FaceTime call or whatever it is. But like, if that's what you're wanting, you can't look here for it. I'm not going to give that to you.
That
Because
book,
then that sets you up for failure, right?
right? That book that you recommended to me, How Champions Think. He brings up the topic, and and maybe he'll bring it up again. But it's a topic I bring up with a lot of athletes, a lot of like whenever I have champions on, like I had Alexander Volkanovski on, or I've talked to Fraser about it, or just whoever. I've even talked to Rich about it. How
Wait,
do you have
Volkanovski on?
Yeah, and Aljamain Sterling. And last week's main event. You know what someone said to me the other day? No, you got me off on a tangent. Someone told one of my mutual friends, Sevan can't get any real UFC fighters on. Like, of the last 15 UFC fights or something, 10 of them I've had the fucking guy on the main card on my show. Next week, there's a guy, Arman Surakian, fighting on the main card for UFC. He was on my show.
Yeah.
He doesn't do any fucking interviews. He's the fucking greatest 5-pound fighter alive right now. He would, it's either him or Islam, but he will fuck anyone up. And I had him on my show a couple weeks ago. And it's like, people, that guy who said that, I had to fucking cock slap him. But anyway, I'm getting a little riled up.
Well, no, that's fair. But yeah, dude, that's fucking crazy.
Volkanovski wasn't a great interview. Man. He was guarded.
Yeah, kind of have to be.
He was guarded. I was going to ask you something about emotional girls. Oh, yeah, in that book, How Champions Think, I always wonder, to be with a champion, whether you're the husband or the wife, you have to understand. I used the bald eagle thing, the metaphor the other day. It's basically like, if you want to be with a bald eagle, you cannot cage it, or else everything you loved about this bald eagle will be gone. That dude just soars. That's what he does. He soars, he kicks ass, he steals fish from bears, he fucking beats up coyotes. He's a fucking bald eagle. And if you put him in a cage, then you're not going to have it. And so there are these mates out there. They exist. I have one that they know how to exist with bald eagles. They know how to exist with people who just have fucking really strict habits, crazy discipline, and persistent go-getters. And they exist. And it's just like this. If I was, let's say you're dating a girl and she texts you and then you don't text her back like in 24 hours, they need to come to terms with the fact that they want something and not project it onto you and be like, hey, Matt, I just want to let you know I miss you. I love you. Hit me up when you can. Just be confident in yourself to just bug you again. Don't put it on you and be like, hey, asshole, I texted you an hour ago. No, that's not going to work.
Right. And that pushes me away.
Like, that's not gonna own it. Take a second, but that might be how you feel. Hey, this motherfucker's not texting me. Take a few deep breaths, meditate, let the script flip. It will naturally, it always flips up for anyone who does some mindfulness, and you'll realize it's you who want something. And so put it back on yourself. Be like, hey, baby, I hope everything's okay. If you need something, I'm here for you. Call me. I'm super flexible. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's kind of what I'm looking for, right? Is like, I want another bald eagle. Like,
yeah. When you're flying through White Hood, let's go catch some fish together.
Right? Yeah. Like, you go out there and you kick ass at whatever it is that you love, and like, you chase your dreams and you be about it, and I will support you 100%.
Yeah.
If you support, like, if we can coexist, supporting each other, becoming the best versions of ourselves. But when you get into that kind of shit where it's like, oh, you didn't text, like, oh, that's funny. You made a post on Instagram, but you can't text me back. It's like,
oh, fuck you.
It's like, dude, now, like that's to me, that's like showing that you're setting yourself up, or that you're going to set this relationship up for failure, being codependent on me for that stuff, right? Like, you need me in order to feel validated with your feelings. Like, you can't just go through your day feeling the way you feel. Like, you want me to to tell you that I like you, or to know that I'm there for you. And it's like, no, I've showed you plenty of times, but
I think a lot of couples, what about, this is something I never had to deal with, but I bet you a lot of couples, they get young couples, and I know some games athletes who've had this struggle. They have girlfriends, and their girlfriends are upset because they don't put their girlfriends on their Instagram. And all that shit.
I had this conversation recently.
You did?
Yeah,
If I had
but,
that
like,
feeling that my wife didn't put me on her Instagram, do you know what I would do with it? I would push it down. I would not
yeah,
let that come out. I know that's
but
the
like
conventional wisdom is not to push shit down. I'd push that shit down.
because you wouldn't want to seem needy, or
That's part of it.
because you don't think it's like a valid thing to be upset at.
That's the other part.
Yeah, I don't think that's a reason to be upset either.
I get how the insecurity creeps in. I'm not blaming myself
for
for having
sure.
it, but I don't want to give it life and tell her.
Because you start to do that, and then it turns into, you're at the gym with this person. Oh, you're training with, you know, these ladies, these attractive people, or oh, you went and did this with this person, or you got dinner, you know, or oh, you're texting this person. Is it just about CrossFit, or is it about that? Like, then it and then yeah, you just turns into something bad.
I'm going to tell this to some girls out there who have men who are the truth is I think most of the time we would rather be doing nothing than being with you. And so when you say that shit, like you were with this girl or you did this, it's doubly painful and annoying because we don't even want to fucking be there with those people. We'd rather fucking be curled up on a couch, fucking with you somewhere watching TV.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
that's the worst
100%.
is when you're getting drilled for shit and it's like, dude, I don't want to be doing that shit.
Yeah. Or yeah, like this is a job. You hope that people treat it professionally.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like let me go do my job. Like I don't come to you at work and be like, oh, are you talking to this coworker? Are you in the meeting with this person? It's like, nah, that shit doesn't matter. Same way that it does. I get it why it could matter in CrossFit or why it could be seen a different way, but nah, when you look at it black and white, yeah, like I would, if I was with somebody, that would be the feeling is like, yeah, I would rather be spending time with you, but I'm here doing the things I need to do to get towards my dream. So if you're going to bust my balls about, if you're going to give me a hard time and make me stressed out about what I'm trying to do for a living, and then I'm going to come back and have to like reason with you to make sure that you feel like I love you, that's not something I can sustain. Like I can't hold on to that and chase my dream.
Who do you work out with? Who's in there every day? Who do you see? Like, if you go to the gym, will you go to the gym today?
Not today. Maybe.
And then when you go in there, who will you see? Will you see Justin? Is he in there?
He is there. I would say like 80% of the time. There's a couple days of the week that he's not there, but most days he's there. So actually, probably closer to like 90.
How about Carrie Pierce?
Carrie has been rocking her power abs, like just taking people's money. So she's not in the gym as much. She's been coming in recently.
That makes me so happy to hear that. She's killing it.
Oh, she's doing so good, and like she's the most deserving of that.
Yeah, awesome.
Sweetheart.
Okay. How about Danielle Brandon? If you go in, do you see her?
Yeah.
How about Bethany?
No. Don't see Bethany.
Oh, you froze, I think.
You there?
Oh, I froze. Oh shit, it's me. My internet went down for a second. Are you there?
I'm there. I'm here.
Oh, how about Bethany?
I don't see Bethany anymore.
No?
No.
Is she part of the Underdogs athletics team?
I'm not really sure.
You're not supposed to talk about it.
I just don't know enough.
Okay.
And
fair.
that's probably something that's better left for them to explain. Whatever it is.
Okay. Who else do you see if you go into the gym?
I see Alex. She's in there every day.
Uh-huh.
I see Allie Scuds and her boyfriend Raph.
Oh yeah. What's Raph doing? Why is he in there? Is he training? Does he want to go to the games?
Yeah, he's trying to put together a team, which if they do, it would be fucking good.
Savage.
Raph is a stud, dude. Raph is a beast. And he's been out with a couple of different injuries. Dude, I know, but he's had knee problems. He hasn't been able to squat.
Oh.
This is crazy. Listen to this.
Okay.
This man did not squat for like 4 or 5 months because of these knee problems. came into quarterfinals and PR'd his squat clean. He hit 347 after not squatting for 4 months. And he was upset at the, like, I get it. He didn't make it to semifinals, which I understand was upsetting. But I like looked at him and wanted to like smack him in the face because I was like, dude, you haven't been able to train this, and you just hit a lift that most people don't even fathom hitting. Like, you PR'd, and you're upset at that. Like, what? He's a great dude. I love Raph.
Can the knees over toes guy? I've only met him a couple of times, and I loved him too. He was so easy. Can the knees over toes guys help him?
They've helped me.
They have.
I've been telling Raph to walk backwards and do the tibs and the calves and all the stretching, and he's been doing it. He's been getting better at it. Yeah.
Okay, so Danielle, Alex, Gazan, Allison Scuds, Raph. Who else do you see? Like, 50% of the time you go in there or more. Soon Ricky.
So soon Ricky. And that's kind of our like, elite level crew. We've got some people that are working towards getting there, that are still in the gym every day, busting it and getting after it. We've got this one guy, his name is Dan. He's a beast, or he's a great dude to have at the gym. He's kind of just like the random, I'm trying to think of like a good character that he would be, or like a good example of what kind of character he would be. But he's just kind of this dude that'll like come in. He's not like, doesn't train for CrossFit, but he'll like come in, throw down with us, like fucking, rip all the workouts that we do. He'll be dead tired. He'll do like 3 workouts. There's like 3 days of that working out, like have a blast, like be talking shit to us the whole time, making us laugh, like making us just enjoy the session. And then he'll dip out for like a week and then come back in, do the same thing, dip out. See, we've got people like that. And then, obviously like the coaches at Camp Rhino, some of the members that are training either during the open gym time or just train, at the little tail ends of when we're in there. So
what's Camp Rhino?
Camp Rhino is the CrossFit gym that we're at.
Okay. The reason why I was asking
Shannon Scheffler, the one who commented.
Yeah.
She's probably listening right now. I see her every day as well. So yeah, there's a lot of people.
Is she an athlete? What does she do?
Yeah, she's a master's athlete. She's a stud. She took this year off of quarterfinals for personal reason, but she's a teacher. It's really cool. She teaches at one of the schools here in Las Vegas, and she has created a program that is part of their curriculum. I believe it's like it's an elective that they can take, but she does CrossFit at school. So like has a full rig, has dumbbells, bumper plates. Like I believe it's middle school, so like 6 to 8. Yeah, and she does that throughout the year, and it's like literally, like I said, one of the classes that they teach, and she takes them through fundamentals, takes them through workouts, changes their movement patterns, all that kind of stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, she's giving them a gift they're gonna have their whole life.
Mm-hmm. It's really special. I wish that I could be more involved with
it. Sometimes I would have a class in college or high school, or I'd have a job or something. And whenever there would be someone there who I was always happy to see. So like in the 2nd grade, there was this kid, Jeff Holman. And I would loved going to school because I just loved playing with him. I was like, oh, Jeff's here. And if the days he wasn't there, I felt like I was ready to go home. Like if he wasn't there, I mean, it didn't happen often, but I'd be like, this fucking sucks. Why am I here today?
Yeah.
Is it like that? Are there people like, is it like that? Do you kind of feel like you need that at your, you know what I mean? Like you see Carrie there and she kind of lifts you up, or you see Shannon there, or you see Scuds there, or you see Raph there, and you kind of get like, oh yeah, my friends are here.
Yeah. Yeah. There are definitely people that bring that energy or just bring that like comfort to the gym. Dan is definitely one of them. Shannon for sure. Cause she's been like there for me through a couple of like difficult times throughout this year that have just like made me appreciate her and her presence. And obviously each teammate's going to bring something different as well. So like, but at the same time, you understand that the teammates that I have are like on an individual pursuit as well, right? So like if they're upset or if they're frustrated or whatever, like I kind of let them go through that stuff because like I understand for myself, if I'm frustrated about something or whatever, like having somebody, you know, to keep you in line is one thing, but to like come over and like always be checking on you or like know everything about your business, like that's a little bit too much for me to share with everybody. But you know, whenever it's people that can keep it a little bit lighthearted or like keep it in focus for me, like Dan's a great example because you know Dan will go out in the summertime here in Vegas and work from 5 a.m. until 3 p.m. or whatever 10 hours is. Like he starts at 5, works until middle of the day, with 40 pounds of crap on his chest. Like he's a contractor, carpenter. So he'll like be out in the middle of the sun, stuff strapped on his chest, and then he'll like come in and work out with us. And if there's days where I'm like, you know, starting to bitch about something or starting to get a little soft or whatever it is, like, you know, or just like the things that I talk about and that I complain about, whenever I complain to him about that stuff, I'm like, he's got a kid. He's working to make a living and put food on her table and make sure that she's set up for success. Like I'm complaining about this workout. Are these really the same? And do I really need to be doing this? Nah, like let's enjoy this for what it is. Let's have a good time. Let's talk some shit. Let's talk about whatever, be boys, and, you know, realize that this is a very good life that I live. And I think with other CrossFitters, you kind of end up complaining about the same things. You end up saying, oh, well, this programming was tough. Oh man, my triceps are blown up this week. And so you end up having these same, like, you know, kind of similar conversations. Whereas like with people outside of that, we rarely talk about CrossFit. Like when I talk to Shannon or when I talk to Dan, we're never really talking about CrossFit, which is great because like if there's a second where I can, you know, obviously you're focused all the time, but if there are chances for me to like let myself off of that gas pedal a little bit, that's like a great mental release for me. Like it's a great like mental relaxation to where I can, you know, put things into perspective, have a little bit of a personality outside of CrossFit, and then come right back to it. So it's not always consuming my mind.
All right, I'm gonna give you something hard. Ready?
Okay. That's what she said, or he said. Go ahead.
When there, let's say there's like 6 couples and they always do shit together, and then one of the couples gets a divorce, or you find out that one of the husbands was cheating on the wife, it sets ripples through all the other couples. So then all of a sudden, like I'm looking at my wife being like, man, is this bitch cheating on me too? Like all of a sudden it brings like this question into the group, right? It's it's like crazy. Or before I had a boss who was sleeping with one of the girls. It was I don't even know how much I've talked about it on this podcast before, but I worked with these 2 people and they were senior people in the company and they were having sex with each other and having a relationship, but they were both married. And I started thinking about them as if their home life is in chaos, then I started second guessing them, right? I didn't judge them like ethically or morally, but I thought they're people of low integrity. They don't live honest lives.
Right.
And where is the other dishonesty in their lives? And it just crept in like a disease. And I don't mean it from any moral standpoint. I want everyone to do what they want, but like, I don't want the guy who's my Uber driver to also know of him as an alcoholic.
Right.
Even if he doesn't drink and drive, I'm fucking tripping a little bit.
Right.
You know? So
I see. I think I know. Yeah.
So when you have these people, Bethany, Danielle, Alex Gazan, and I bring up Bethany for a reason, Allison Scuds, Roth, and they all have these relationships with Justin. And maybe one of them gets rocked or someone's leaving, like maybe Bethany's leaving. Is that another reason why you sort of keep your shit more private? And you don't want it because you don't want your boat to be rocked. Like, who gives a fuck what's going on with Justin and the other athletes? You need this pure relationship with him. Or like, does that fuck with the boat when someone leaves?
I mean,
like
I think
the drama or the stories or the.
Yeah, I think that it can if you let it. You know, and like obviously, Man, like that's kind of that's an interesting question. It is tough because like we've talked about with Justin too, he is an emotional person. So like it's never just like, oh, yep, they decided to leave. Oh, yep, this happened. Like, okay, we're moved on. It's like, that he feels those things. That he cares about a person. And so whatever ends up happening, whatever drama unfolds or stories get told, he feels it. Yeah. So you feel that too. But like for me, what I've tried to really do is like separate myself from that, even to the point where like when I know that he's upset about those things that don't affect me, like that are happening to whatever other athlete or happening in his relationship with whatever other, like, all that kind of stuff. I really try not to like ask too many questions. I'm kind of just like, oh, okay, tough. Like keep it separate, right? Like if he wants to feel that stuff, that's fine. And if things are happening, if drama's happening, again, that's fine. But like I said, like I kind of want this to be as professional, as it can be.
How do you learn that? Like, how do you learn that? How are you like that? Oh, really? Experience.
Yeah. Yeah. You go through.
I hate that. Like I have an adverse reaction to that word you said, professional.
Why?
I just hate it. I just
that we call ourselves professional.
No. Like when you say no, I don't mind that. No, but when you just said, I try to keep it professional. Like I feel this sense of like fakeness, not from you. I'm saying it's me. Like in my, like when people used to say Dave Castro is not professional, I'd be like, I would get so fucking angry. Why? Because he doesn't wear a 3-piece suit. You think the guy who fucking works at fucking Harvard Medical Institute is professional? That guy's a fucking scumbag. And I'll tell you 30 reasons why.
Right.
This guy fucking killed people for a fucking living. He knows what professional is. Every fucking choice he made meant life or death. Because you don't recognize professional, he's not professional. No, it's because you don't recognize it. And so that has nothing to do with you. I'm just saying I get triggered by that word. I'm like, but I get it. Like being emotional isn't professional, right? Being emotional isn't professional.
Having separation, being able to distance yourself from certain situations that are going to cause you to act unprofessionally, right? Or that will cause you to act in a way that's just not really suitable for what your the intention is of you being out here. Right. Yeah. Your goal.
Yeah. I respect that. I think it's tough as shit. I think that's the way you need to be. You need to do whatever it takes to get to the goal.
Yeah. And I'm learning, like I said, through experience, I'm learning to keep all of those things as separate as I can, or like almost imagining that there's like me holding my hand out against somebody's head while stuff's trying to run at me. It's like, I'm going to keep you at bay. I'm going to keep you there. Like I'll deal with it when I need to, but especially when you're in the gym, it's like, come on, we've got things to do. Like we've got workouts to hit. We've got whatever that we want to do. And look at him right here. Look how cute he is. But anyways, there has to be a little bit of a separation. I think as people, because we're with each other so much, you want to know more about them. Like I want to know about Allie and Raph, and I want to know more about Bethany, and I want to hear her experiences and her stories and the things that they have to teach. But you also have to respect that, like the same way that I'm not going to share everything that I'm going through, they're probably not going to do the same thing either. So like understand that there are boundaries to that, and that separation is good. Because and like I don't know, this is a little mini tangent, but like I'm impressed by people that in CrossFit that date high level, like the 2 high level athletes like date each other.
Like Frederick and Annie.
Yeah. And like maybe once one of them,
they had to decide that she's the better. I mean, I'm kind of making this up, but kind of not. They had to decide, hey, you're the better athlete.
That's what I mean. That's got to be a tough blast to your ego. For sure.
I could handle it for sure, but I know I could totally handle that. Like I don't have any of that, but I've never been a high level athlete.
Right. Like what if your wife decided that she wanted to have a podcast and it blows up and she's like, hey, Sevan, I need you to take care of the kids. Like,
yes, I'm game.
Doing this
I'm
thing.
so game.
Yeah?
If my wife made, if my wife made more money than, and my wife has made more money than me, we've gone back and forth in our life. But if I'm so game, I don't have my identity's not like in any of that stuff. But
do you think with the CrossFit,
but that being said, I've never been at Frederick's level in anything. You know what I mean? Like, so like, how the fuck do I know?
And
he was really high, but he just happened to be at someone who's twice as high. I mean, they're not even comparable. Not that he's not great, but they're not even comparable. She's on another planet.
She's like a Mount Rushmore type of like level for sure. Yeah, but even down levels, right, where like you're trying to reach that point and you're going through these selfish endeavors and you're making those decisions, that's got to be really hard to do with two people that are doing those same things, you know, like two people that are, and then to go into the gym together, you know, to come back home and eat as clean as you do and to have your bedtime routines. Like, hats off to you guys if you make it work, but yeah, I don't know.
You think you're going to get married and have kids? Do you see that?
I don't think about it.
Yeah.
If it happens, it happens. But I think I would like to be a dad. But like we said, there's things that I want to accomplish. And until I'm ready to leave those things, to either say like, hey, yeah, I'm okay with where I got to now, let's start this next phase. Or if I'm like, yeah, this stuff isn't going to play out the way that I wanted it to, and I'm ready to, you know, give my life to my kid. Like, I don't think I could make a decision until then. Because that's what I mean. Like, and that's what we talked about, right? But like,
you are definitely at Frederick's level in filmmaking. And thank you, Dick Butter. I can't believe there's a guy who listens to my show named Dick Butter. What?
I was gonna say, do you have people that come on with like the same little nickname or same little like
that dude's a
shit?
staple.
Like,
that dude,
love it.
That dude's always here, Dick Butter. And there's another dude named Richard Margarine instead of Dick Butter. And I thought they were the same dude, but sometimes I see them talking to each other in the comments.
They talk to each other? That's amazing.
Hey, there's the same like 150 people here every morning. Like, so this guy's always here, Wad Zombie. This guy's always here, Corey Leonard. They're like my friends. It's kind of weird. This lady's always here. I have this lady's phone number in my phone. This guy says he's a priest. This guy's always here, Anthony Andrew. Oh, there's Jeffrey Birchfield. He's always here. Look at Wad Zombie's given money twice. Is Matt single? Literally asking for. Oh, yeah, he's single. He's single. He's open to dating a lot of different people.
Yep. At the same time. Be ready for it.
Yeah. This guy's always here, Brandon Waddell. I fight with this guy sometimes in the comments.
Is there a guy named Tom Jaron?
Oh, yeah. Tom Jaron the Third or something. I think I fight with him sometimes. Yeah. What's funny is I fight with all these people a little bit. I don't really fight with Bruce Wayne too much.
Well, I think that's why they like you, is that you like have those back and forth with them.
I fight with them.
Probably.
This girl here. So there's these three ladies who are like in a competition with each other to make me reels. Like, I never used to have reels, and now I have more reels than I know what to do with. And I told one of the other ladies, I said, why are you making so many reels? She's like, I hate the thought of the other ladies making more reels than me. I'm like, shit. Wow. You know what? Andrew Hiller even told, so we did semifinals, like recap shows, and Andrew Hiller did all the shows with me. And there were a bunch of people who did most of the shows with me, but Andrew was here every single one. And we got off the air. You're going to like this. This kind of reminds me of championship mindset, how champions think. And I go, hey, dude, why are you doing all these shows with me? And he goes, I hate the thought of you working harder than me. It's like, damn. And I have that kind of too. I hate the thought of some other YouTube dude working harder than me. I hate that.
Mm-hmm. That is amazing, because I love that feeling of I want to feel, and I think it's a never ending pursuit, but like that feeling of, yeah, I've worked harder than you, because you don't know what somebody else is doing next to you. But like whenever I take that field and I'm snatching next to whoever the fuck I'm snatching next to, I want that feeling of like, you're not going to beat me because I've done this shit too many times for you to beat me on it. Like I have put in this work more than you. And that's why I love CrossFit, is because it comes down to that, right? Like it kind of comes down to, hey, there's nothing special that you're doing. Like we're snatching the exact, like form is the exact same. Like you don't have some kind of advantage. It just comes down to who has put in more work and who's willing to work harder right now. And it's just it's kind of black and white in that way.
I lost three business partners because I'll give you an example. We would go somewhere to do filming, and then I would call them like at 6 a.m. and be like, "Hey, meet me downstairs. We're going to go do this." And they'd be like, "Oh, I'm going hiking this morning." I'm like, "You're going hiking this morning?" And they're like, "Yeah, we've been working 7 days straight and we're in Colorado. I want to go hiking." But, and then, like that happens 10 times and I'm out.
Yeah. I find myself, I had a conversation with my dad about this recently. Like I'm at the gym all the time. Like I'm there from, 10 until 4 or 5. Like I'm there the whole day.
And you go to bed early too. I noticed. I watched one of your videos, The Day in the Life of Dlugos. You're like, okay, I'm going to go and eat and go to bed. I'm like, the fucking sun's out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
well,
sorry.
that's what I said. Like, yeah, no. But like I'm in the gym there, and you watch people come in and out, and you see different people's not work ethics, because everybody works hard and everybody is chasing after that stuff, but like there are so many stones to unturn, and it's like, yeah, it might be 95 degrees out, it might be a beautiful day to go sit by the pool, or like go to a pool party, or go just take some time, like just be done at 1 o'clock for the day or 2 o'clock for the day. But I'm always in the mindset of like, well, there's probably something else that I could be doing. Like, there's probably something else that I could work at. And like I said, if I moved out here to rush through my programming, why am I out here? Like, why would I not spend a little bit more time and warm up for this piece a little bit longer and hit it harder, and push my accessory work and sit in the sauna for 35 minutes instead of 30? Like, there are always things that you can be doing to outwork somebody. And we're all given the same 24 hours in a day. So
yeah,
if I don't make the most of it, somebody else is. And when I get to the games, that somebody else is probably going to be standing next to me. And I don't want to stand next to that person and say, "Oh shit, you outworked me. Like you got me this year. I took some time off, or I left the gym early these days, or I left these, I didn't do these mobility pieces or whatever." Cause yeah, I feel like everybody that's at the games is doing all that stuff. So I want to get there and say, yeah, you've done it, but I've done it a little bit more.
What's accessory work? Can you name off, like, is there a lot of it? Is there endless? Are there 50 different things? Is accessory work like, is doing curls accessory work, or?
Yeah, we do curls on Sunday.
And that would be considered accessory though, right?
Yeah, but for me, I think of accessory as like anything that's going to supplement what I'm doing. So mobility is kind of like accessory work for me. Doing the knees over toes guy, doing some like hip work from Vernon Griffith, doing some if it's like a PT, if it's things that the PT gave me, right, for like scapular wall slides or rolling out my tib and my adductor, like those little things are accessory work too.
How about weighted pull-ups?
Weighted pull-ups, weighted dips, man, I could go down the list. Strict press, RDLs, reverse hypers, like all the different little movements that contribute to the success for the clean or the jerk or back squat.
What's the least, not the worst, but what's the accessory work that you're just like, you have to like talk yourself into doing? Like, if like, I don't want to do that and I need to do that, like L sits, or like.
Yeah, L sits are hard, especially whenever, like sometimes he'll just have us do like a max effort hold. And so you're like, okay, I have to, like, I want to beat 30 seconds. Well, and then you watch Bethany and Allie Scudds do it for like a minute and a half straight. Fucking perfect legs, pointed feet, and you're like,
and probably Carrie Pierce is probably pretty good too, huh?
Yeah, she's pretty good at those. I'll say that. Those girls are phenomenal. No, man. Dumbbell, like rear foot elevated split squats, Bulgarian split squats. Least favorite, most disgusting. Most everything else I'm pretty good with getting through, but it's those that I'm just like, because we'll do those with heavy actually, I can't give away the secret, never mind. Okay. But that movement specific, I'm just kidding. We'll do that with like a overhead hold, and I'm trying to think, it revolves sometimes, but it's usually like another like hinging movement, and so my legs are just like torched, and it's usually after a day that we've already squatted, and I'm like, fuck this, I don't want to pick up these 90s to hold for these Bulgarian split squats, but like if making myself get through that makes the difference, then you got to do it.
Or do you do Stairmaster?
No, I want to though. Fraser does it, right?
Dude, I want one so fucking bad. I want one so it's burning a hole in my heart. The last, like, I'm obsessive, and I want a Stairmaster so bad.
For the like condition, like for the cardio aspect of it, or like building
yeah.
up?
So I spend a lot of time on the assault bike, a lot of time. I'm just looking just because I have a TV set right in front of it. And so like, that's how I do research. That's how I study. That's how like I get stuff done. So if I'm going to have someone on, I just sit there on YouTube and go through and watch stuff on them. And I spend just shitloads of time. And, but I was thinking if I had this with the then I could mix my game up a little bit.
Yeah. I mean,
because I spend too much time on. I ride the bike every day for fucking an hour, and it's like it's getting ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. Got to switch it up a little bit. I know Fraser, or I'm pretty sure I heard Fraser.
Yes.
Talk about being a Stairmaster.
Yeah.
I live in a little apartment complex. It's actually pretty nice, but they have one at the gym. So maybe you inspired me to go use it today.
I wonder if I bet you it's in a low ceiling. I wonder if you're on that top stair, if your head hits the ceiling.
No, it's tall enough. Get out of here.
I don't know, dude. Look at each one of those steps is like 1 feet, 2 feet, 3 feet. And you're 6 feet tall, and if they're 8-foot ceilings.
No, there's an entire basketball court on the right side, and then this is like above it, so you can kind of like look down into it. But my head would be close in that little facility.
It's not cheap.
No,
I wonder how much.
Not, but I wonder why.
I wonder how much it costs to ship this. Estimated shipping. I'm gonna look real. United States.
Yeah.
9. Get quote. Let's see. Oh, okay. So $500 to ship it. $5,600.
If you're already paying $5,100 for that.
Oh no, shipping's free. It's the tax. Look, it's the shipping's free. My bad.
Oh.
So Rogue ships that for free.
Do you figure that because it's so expensive that they're like, I don't know how that stuff works, but
I don't know either. But I know Bill, I promise I'll talk about this. Mr. Henniger and Katie Henniger, I will talk about this every single day on my podcast for 3 million days if you send me one of these. Imagine how fit my kids would get. What?
I said, let's get Sevan a sponsor for Stairmaster.
Yeah, yeah.
You can walk while you do your next few podcasts. Like once every week, you're just on the Stairmaster talking to people.
And I promise I won't tell anyone you're my sponsor, so you don't have to be affiliated with all the crass shit I say.
That's perfect for you then, huh?
And one for my friend Dlugos.
Yeah, Stair Buddies. We'll have the biggest calves.
DLGOS.
Nope.
How do you spell
DLU.
Oh.
DLUGOS. Yeah.
Oh, I wonder, oh, okay. That makes more sense. I mean, there's DL it's so weird.
There's in CrossFit, there's like one other person that whenever I type in DL, because that's always that takes away everybody else. But there's
Right.
one other person with the last name that's like very, very similar. It's like Dlugos, or it turns into something else, like with a W at the end of it, or a Z.
There's a poet named Tim Dlugos.
Interesting. I don't know Tim.
American poet. Oh, he's dead.
It's a very uncommon last name.
What is it?
I believe it's Polish.
Oh shit, he died of AIDS. He's a
AIDS?
poet. AIDS. Acquired immune deficiency syndrome. It was scary in the 80s.
I believe that. I don't have that. There's only been one.
You don't
other
have that?
Dlugos.
You don't have AIDS?
No, we're clear. So anybody asking for their friends. There's only been one other person that I've ever came across, and she's like an actress, or like now she does TikToks or something like that. But her name is Courtney Dlugos, and I remember coming across her page, and I was like, Dad, who the fuck is this? Like, I've never seen this. Do I related? Do we have a cousin? Like, and he kind of explained like through the little.
Oh, she's hot.
Like,
she's hot.
Listen, I'm from West Virginia, but I can't speak on that.
She's hot. I'm gonna show you. So for that, we'll end the show with Courtney Dlugos. Look at her. You're not related to her?
The relation is like, I think it's like one of my dad's like cousins or second cousins had a child with somebody.
She looks like, I mean, she kind of looks like she could be related to you.
I know.
Oh my God, another one? Okay. Hey, it's Kristen, obviously. What's up? Okay, what do you want?
Not that one.
Yeah.
This one.
Okay, there's that one.
Not this one. Okay. 30 strikes and you're out, girl.
Chasing the ghost.
Hey, Pump.
Okay.
How are you?
On your own time, anyone can go look at Courtney Dlugos.
Let's end it with a fantastic question. What?
This is the only sound.
I don't give a. I don't give a. Look, I don't give a.
That's the only sound I have on my soundboard.
Do you ever hit somebody with that mid response? You're just like, man, I don't give a fuck.
Just like my friend, just like Matt Souza, just the regulars. Just the regulars.
You don't hit it. You don't.
I would never hit it on you. If I do hit it on you, that means you know I'm your friend.
All right, perfect.
We will be watching with the Last Chance qualifier. I hope staying calm until the last workout pans out for you. And I appreciate this was an incredibly long podcast, 2 hours and 40 minutes. And thanks for giving me all your time. I can't believe neither of us had to pee.
I know. I didn't even think about that. But
at one point you were going like this, and I'm like, oh shit, he has to pee.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I haven't drank too much water today. I literally woke up at like 6:45. I was like, oh fuck, I gotta get on this podcast.
I drank this whole thing of coffee.
I have a little cup as well, a little tinier one. Paper Street, I like it.
Would you like to try some Paper Street coffee?
I would.
Okay, I'll get you some sent out.
Is that a local one for you?
No, it's Jersey. It's one of my sponsors. A good sponsor
Nice.
too. Like a fucking great sponsor.
We
I
love
had
a
them
good
send
coffee sponsor.
I had them send Danielle some coffee, but then she moved houses, so I don't know if she got it. And she don't give a fuck.
Yeah, probably not.
All right.